Hello, welcome along. Yes, it's hard to believe we're at this point already. If you tuned in to see me get teary-eyed at the end of the cyclocross season, I'm sure you won't be disappointed by the end of today. It's the Rectavit race today, the GP Leuven. No general classification to speak of in this series, but it always gives us a good race. Those riders that haven't decided to finish their cyclocross seasons, we still have some big names in action today. The last round was in St. Nicholas. Let's remind ourselves of that. What a race it was. We haven't seen that as many times this season as we are used to in the past. Sanne Cant, the world champion, crossing the line, just arms aloft. It has been very much, you could say, a changing of the guard this season. Annemiek van Alphen, you saw there bunny hopping away to a challenge with Sanne Cant. Don't panic, everyone. Jeremy Powers is with me to take us through today's race. Jeremy, let's just touch on that those highlights there from St. Nicholas. We saw it side by side. Sanne Cant in that World Champions jersey. Of course, as that season's progressed, that's now with Celine Del Carmen Alvarado. But Annemiek van Alphen alongside her, bunny hopping those planks, pushing her all the way to the line. And it looks like over the next course of sort of next season, that's going to start to become the norm in a way.
Definitely, yeah. The younger riders we've seen have so much success and really start to come onto their own. Seeing those great battles that Sanne Cant had at a race like St. Nicholas over the years, seeing those riders come into the top 10 at the World Cups, and then obviously we saw at the World Championships in the junior level, they're riding very well. They're riding very fast. They're very in tune, and the same type of progression that we started to see on the men's side, we're starting to see on the women's side, where these riders that are 17, 18 years old are starting to punch well above any of the level that we had previously seen and thought was possible. So it's definitely a cool time to be a fan of the sport, especially for cyclocross fans.
Yeah, indeed. Now, today's race, GP Leuven, for some riders, they've kind of decided to finish their season after last week's racing. You've been there. You've done full pro cyclocross seasons in Belgium and around the world. For riders that have been racing all the way from that first race right at the beginning of the season, the Etias Cross in Eeklo, all the way through to now. There's going to be some tired riders out there, isn't it? But it doesn't diminish the desire, the fire to finish the season on a high.
No, no, it definitely doesn't. I think that there's the opportunists, and then there are also people that are looking at this and just hoping to get through. There might be a couple people that are thinking in their head, "Hey, I really want to try to get a result today." There's some other people that are thinking, "Hey, I really want to try to get to the beach as soon as I can after this." There's just going to be a totally different spat of people out there, and it's to each, who had injuries, who was coming in, who was going up. So I always say there's always like the form calculator. There's always someone going up, and there's always someone going down. And so you got to figure out where people are at. Some of the road riders some of the combination riders that ended their seasons just after the World Championships are now starting to line up for their first road races this weekend already. And so there's definitely been a quick changing of outfits and bikes, and then they're right back onto it. So yeah, for the riders that are deciding to come into this one hot, it's definitely a good opportunity, and one that I stayed a couple of years. I stayed all the way through the end of February, and I feel like it is so hard to mentally get into the zone after the World Championships. But with the big series on the line, that helps a lot. This is the Rectavit series, no overall, but still a big series with live television coverage. So we're gonna, I'm sure, be have a nice race on our hands, and we'll be treated to some good battles.
Yeah, it's a good course. I was just re-watching a kind of in-race video from one of the riders from last year, so I don't think you'll be disappointed with the course. Let's have a look at who we're going to see in action here in the elite women's race. So up today, we got a real. We still got some strong big names here. Sanne Cant there, Anna-Marie Hurst, Denise Betsema, Alice Maria Arzufi. I'm looking someone like here, Marianne Norbert Riberol, Shirin Van Anrooy's not taking into the start today. Your opportunist, Jeremy, I don't know what you think, but someone like Mount Captain, she won right at the beginning of the season. Could she top and tail the ish? She started really well, but it hasn't quite panned out that way for her.
No, it hasn't, and that's the thing about racing is that you sometimes you've got the plan, you've got everything going, and then you just don't have the answers why. It takes a nice time to takes a bit of time to be able to kind of reset, come back, and show up, and then have an opportunity to do it again the next season. And you just have to make sure that all of the sponsors are happy and they're all on the same page as you. It's tough to be able to kind of pivot the ship when you're in the middle of the season. You know, you've done your training in the preseason, you've got everything kind of going towards, and it's tough when decide, hey, I gotta like kind of cut bait, and then I gotta go back in and reassess what's going on, or I gotta kind of continue to keep my head down and hunker down. But definitely someone like Mod Captains, also Sharon Van Andra, I think that she's got definitely a good shot at looking at the podium for sure.
Someone as well who I'm kind of looking at on the start list. We're down number 32 is Alicia Frank from Experza, and Alicia she had some health problems over the last winter as well. But she's had quite a solid season. She's had her hands in the air there with a victory so far this season, so she's coming back into some good form. But this is very much over the last couple of seasons been Loes Sels race, and she's another rider that definitely hasn't had it her own way this season. She's won this race for the last couple of years, and I'm sure I don't know if you saw the news in the week, and fans out there, some really good news. Ellen Van Looy saying, do you know what? I'm carrying on for another year. I'm not done in the sport yet. I'm still riding top 10. And that was, for me, great news in the week. And Ellen as well. Great rider.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be fun to see another year with Ellen. I think these are some of the longtime racers. Ellen Van Looy, Katie Compton. Some of these riders have been doing this for so long. Even Sanne Cant. I mean, there's a lot of battles that have gone down between the three of them. So to see them all still racing, even Katarina Nash, I could go on. There are a lot of great riders that are that have gone through the generations of racers that now we're starting to see this next generation. And it's pretty incredible achievement just to have them lining up, let alone continue to be on the podiums and very competitive in the weeks, every week in and week out.
Yeah, let's have a look at the riders that have won the races here in the Rectavit series so far this winter. So we all the way back there, GP Pelt, Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, way back at the beginning of October. That was the kind of the shape of things to come so far this season. Lucinda Brand announced that was her first ride for Telenet Baloise Lions, wasn't it, Jeremy, in Neil? And she really gave that team a great start, taking that one. We've also already seen the coverage there of Sanne Cant winning the last time out in St. Nicholas. But yeah, that's the series so far. I think when we cast our minds back to October and for Alvarado, would you agree that Alvarado and Hurst have definitely been the riders of the season?
I think so, but I mean, Lucinda Brand definitely threw a wrench in that. If you if you say, hey, what rider was in there? There's sometimes we see more riders duck into the season, and someone like a Yolanda Neff or Pauline Prevot, coming in and kind of really just throwing these riders for a loop. Like, whoa, hey, big talent, big engine coming in, all of a sudden has all of the skill sets from mountain biking. Or Marianne Vos, some of these riders came in, but definitely Lucinda Brand really came in and laid down the hammer, and she did so in like very dramatic fashion. I mean, she came in, she just started winning immediately. I think it was Neil was one of her first races, and I remember seeing that. And Katie Compton, it was a great duel there. But yeah, she had a great season. She's a huge competitor, and I truly enjoy watching her. And she's a friend of the show. We've had her on several times, and she's always been really generous with her time and just a great person to chat with about racing.
Yeah, she's always good to catch up with. We had our carpool karaoke moment this season, which was good. And again with Lucinda on the road, she'll go from Telenet Baloise Alliance over to Trek Segafredo for the road season, which is going to be interesting to watch. Yolanda Neff, of course, if you've been keeping an eye on Yolanda Neff on social media, coming back from that dreadful crash, seems to be coming back a lot quicker than she maybe thought. We've seen some great pictures as well, some great video out of Marianne Vos out on an elliptigo out. I think she's in Tenerife recovering from her operation. So there's a few riders there that could have Pauline Ferrand-Prévot as well, of course, having that double iliac surgery as well. So they're kind of coming back from injury. But I think it shows, doesn't it, the quality, the class of Lucinda Brand, where she can just train herself, dip in, and just comes in with just such phenomenal form.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's something to be said for, knowing yourself really well and knowing kind of what training works for you and being able to really pick and choose your moments and making them, even if you're making them a little bit short, it's like, hey, I know that this is when I can come in and I can ride really hard, basically mid-November, through the 1st of February, and being able to roll that for a long time takes an experienced rider. She's not the youngest on the block. I mean, she's just around 30 years old, so yeah, but here we are. We see Alice Maria Arzufi there on the backside. One that had a great season, took some wins, but definitely would probably love to be up on the podium today. Now we're getting a quick chat with Bart Wellens here, the director of the 777 women's program. I don't know what Bart's saying, but he looks in traditional Bart form.
The cousins. There's
Yeah.
Loes Sels and Sanne Cant alongside each other. Sanne now in the Belgian champions jersey. Always, this is the side of Sanne Cant when she's warming up and riding the course that I always love. It, always smiling and having a chuckle.
Yeah, and here we're getting some pictures of Anna Marie Worst, and I'm not sure who that other rider is, Marty.
The alongside her is the Anna Marie Worst is definitely you got to watch out for her today. That could be finished that season. Virtually, I don't think she's been up. I'm gonna double check every result, but she hasn't been off the podium this season. Anna
Yeah, that's
Marie
what I've been
Worst.
told. I've been hearing that as well. That could have been Mathieu Mulder. That was the rider that she might have been with just by the bike that she was riding, but I could be wrong on that as well. So I'm not familiar with every single rider, but we do our best here. So seeing two champs there here on the front of the screen. And yeah, Marty, what did you see from the course ride? This is not a race that I have been able to do in my career. This was not one that did not bring me up to Leuven, but I do know they have great beer up there. There is a lot of great beer up in Leuven and a nice little city in town to be able to visit. So having been to Belgium many times, I've definitely gone through Leuven, never done the race.
Yeah, it's a good course. Let's have a look at the course map that the riders are going to tackle today, and the pre-race it's pretty quick. There's plenty of offs. There's some nice ditches in there as well that the riders will have to negotiate. And last year, again, we'll have a look around as we get into the course. Some of those sort of big gouges in the course as well. So from the course, a little course ride pre-ride video that I was just checking out, quite quick. Those sort of nice ditches that they kind of put into a lot of these courses, kind of little bit. It almost looks a little bit similar to sort of Mauderhem with a little bit more meat to it, I think, in
Mm.
terms of the course that the riders are going to tackle today. Last year we had a sort of nice rhythm section, that sort of section of the sort of washboard section that is becoming quite popular. But we'll go down to the start. We are ready to rock and roll. Don't forget to subscribe to GCN Racing. Hit that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything. Hit that bell icon as well so you're notified every time we go live or upload a new video. But we are down on the start, poised and ready to go. Get involved over on the chat. Alice Maria Arzufi alongside French champion Marianne Norbert Ribeirol through the centre. Anna Marie Hues, Manon Bakker getting a front row start here, as well as Ellen Vailoy, Sanne Cant, Lara Vidonshot, and we are away. We are off and racing. A smaller field compared to some that we've had so far this season. For you British fans, you were watching out for number 16 Ishbel Strathty from the Edinburgh Road Club. So Alicia Frank just trying to move up there alongside Mashka Mulder from Group Hens Mass, but it's Denise Betzemer that gets the whole shot through the first corner. So just leading out here, I think it's Kiona Crabber that's also got herself a good start here. Just leading out. Loes Sels just getting herself up there in third, just ahead of Anna Marie Hues. Mount Captains getting a good start. There's Mount Sanne Cant. Marianne Norbert Riberola is well up there. So well, Joyce van der Beeken, the former Belgian champion, she's wearing the blue and blackish colours. but it's Denise Betzemer for Poel, Sels and Bingo that's leading out on this course. So straight onto the bridge. Pretty steep one here.
It really is, and here they come.
There.
You can see that Anna-Marie Worst there in third place with looks like Betzema's off the front, and this is these dips that you're talking about, Marty. These big ditch sections, similar to back in the day we used to see at the race that we called last weekend up in Middelkerke. A lot of these ditches, and the riders have to be very careful about how they weight up on these because they have to get their weight really far back, and they also have to think about when they select their tire pressure because if their tire pressure is not quite on point, the tires can bend, deform, and then when they shoot back, really throw the riders out from underneath them and send them off. So they do have to, not only is there a speed limit on that because you can't go into those hot, you also need to make sure that you're paying attention to how you weight up the bike because you come into those just a little bit crooked or a little bit off center. Ooh, Anna-Marie Worst, they're just down in the corner as Betzema's pushing the pace here early, Marty.
Yeah, opening lap here. Denise Betzemer probably, you'd say, out of these riders, hasn't done the full season after coming back from that doping ban, but she's leading out here. Let's have a little replay of Anna-Marie Worst there. Just gets caught around that little section, and I'm sure she will recover from that. But opening lap, Denise Betzemer leading out from Loes Sels. These are the steep bank sections on this course. Betzemer manages to ride that, so it gives her a bit of an advantage in this one. I remember Betzemer last year riding a lot of these sections on this course that no one else was able to ride, and already opening up just a few seconds advantage on this opening lap as Mount Captains gets herself up there, so you can see the elevation changes here in Leuven, GP Leuven in this course. Anna-Marie Worst and off and pushing on that section. But Denise Betzemer leading out. Can Anna-Marie Worst or Loes Sels get themselves back up to the Poels, Sels and Bingo rider?
Well, if you're a professional, Marty, and you're in Anna-Marie Worst, and all of these riders certainly are, we talked about some of them having different levels of, wanting energy coming into this. As you hear some of the squealing of the brakes, you can just tell the how steep this descent is here. But they're bringing in good form. They're bringing in focus. They're bringing in determination of a professional. They want to race at the front. So Betzemer getting off to a good start like this definitely is a little bit of a rubber band for someone like Anna-Marie Worst, who's looking at that saying like, okay, I got to come to terms with this a little earlier than I was expecting. But Betzemer definitely wants to try to put the past behind her, I would say, Marty. And this is an opportunity for her. Like I was saying earlier, this is one of those things where, she sees that this is a possibility for her to be able to potentially win a race this season. Like you said, after coming back from that doping ban, she's going to have these last races, but really, this is only maybe her 6th, 7th race, something like that. She has not raced very much. So this is one of those people that we look at and say there's definitely an opportunity end of the season for her to be able to try to put herself up on that top step of the podium. But Anna-Marie Worst, is she going to be able to get back up to Betzemer and deny Betzemer that first win of her 2021 campaign?
Into the rhythm section here, Anna-Marie Worst right behind the leader here, Denise Betzemer on this opening lap. If you're just getting on board, welcome. This is the final race of our season here on GCN Racing of our cyclocross coverage. Thanks for your company. It's been great to have you with us all season long, and if you're just finding us for the first time, welcome. All our races are available to watch on demand. So you've got a nice grass section through there, back onto some fairly big sections here. This is looking proper BMX-like now, this, as Denise Betzemer kicks on at the front. See if Anna-Marie Worst is managing to close this one down on this opening lap. Then you got Loes Sels, another former Belgian national champion, just coming around that corner and into that big rhythm section.
Definitely a lot of rhythm, a lot of technique on this track. I personally would love to have a 250 dirt bike for that section myself. But yeah, it seems like the riders almost vanish in them. They're so deep. So I think the camera not doing them a ton of justice because the riders literally vanish when they're in them. But then like this section and coming out of those, Marty, big power sections. So the riders are going to be putting out a lot of watts to be able to get through this and to get back up to speed. There it is. Anna-Marie Worst coming through that back section, really taking that turn hot and now laying down some power. So she's still got some energy and so she's still got some power power in those legs.
It's looking good. Then you've got Loes Sels, Marianne Vos, Sanne Cant, just coming around that corner just ahead of Manon Bakker. And Ellen Van Looy is your next rider. You can see just coming through behind Manon Bakker, from who's signed for the Kreefin Friestads team for next season, as Denise Betsema comes through this section here. As Anna-Marie just powering on. Can she get back up to her leader, put herself into contention for the victory today? There's your French champion, also World Under-23 champion, that just kicks around that corner. As a glance back, Loes Sels just sees Marianne Riberola getting back up to her. Sanne Cant still with that heavy strapping on the knee. Mount Captains is the next rider coming through, just ahead of Joyce van der Beeken.
They're coming down the start-finish straight here now, and there Anna-Marie Vos digging down, got that head down, definitely got the bob. She's trying to get on terms with Betsema's pace here. Now it's Norbert Riberola that's coming in, the French national champion with Loes Sels on her wheel, and then the former three-time world champion and current Belgian champion Sanne Cant trying to get back up there, get into that group so that she can take a little bit of reprieve from maybe a little bit of wind out there today, Marty. You can see the banners are flying a little bit, so there's definitely is a small amount of wind. If not, yeah, I think that would be nice to be sitting on for this section.
Yeah, Laura Verdonschot, Alicia Frank just coming around your corner. It is changing a little bit as we go, but just as you go through there, you've got Denise Betsema from Anna-Marie Vos, Marianne Riberola, Loes Sels, then that group of Sanne Cant, Manon Bakker, Ellen Van Looy, then this group of Mount Captains, Joyce van der Beeken, Laura Verdonschot, and then Alicia Frank with Alice Maria Azufi just coming into your picture there. That's your sort of top 10, 11. It's just switching backwards and forwards a little bit through the groups. Marianne Riberola, Jeremy, over the last couple of weeks since Marianne won that under-23 world title, she just looked like that was the peak for her. She came off the, you could see that little dip in form, but looking good here today, the French champion.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, sometimes you just gotta get through it. It's not. There's a lot of probably emotions. There's probably a lot of energy that went out the window, and then sometimes 5 days in between races is not enough to be able to recharge the battery sufficiently. So you need to take. Now we're talking. We're about 3 weeks out since the World Championships, and that might just be enough time for her to have recharged, kind of did some racing, and then have some real food and come off of probably being in peak condition to be able to get there. As you see now, this is the rider we're talking about, Norbert Riberola. Like I was saying, Marty, that's those sections. You just come into them a little crooked and you come into them a little off. And now she's going to take a bike change. She's worried about maybe that front tire and something happening there. So she's on a good bit of form. But this is what we see. We do see some stuff happen with Norbert Riberola where here we go, Marty. Replay of this. Just really the wrong. Not a good line there. Not a good line on that one.
There's a reason why you've got left and right there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, we've seen Norbert Riberola have some issues when she was at the World Cup. Unfortunately, she ripped that derailleur off, and it's just that comes with age, in my opinion. I think that you get a little bit more maturity, you get a little bit more just a calm head about it when things go in the wrong way. But luckily, she was right in front of the pit there. The mechanics will be able to go through that front tire and that front wheel, make sure everything is great. As you see, that big power output of Anna-Marie Vos now making it up these steep sections as they come in. This is a very fun section. You can hear the supporters there giving those deep howls for the riders as they come through.
You saw there, that was, again, very the tactical nous of Anna-Marie Vos. She'd seen that Denise Betsema was riding that the lap before. She recognises she's got to match her pound for pound on these steep bank sections. She knows there are areas that suit the leader at the moment. Thanks to all of you for getting on board over on the chat. Brian Travis checking in from Ontario. Sebastian Mignot from Montreal in Canada. Thanks for saying hi as Denise Betsema just comes to a halt. Will that allow Anna-Marie Vos just to come back? Little mistake from the Poel Sels and Bingo rider. Allows the 777 rider behind to just close down. Just some fractions of a second. Anna-Marie Vos, great descender, uses that section to perfection to try and come back up to her. Let's see if she can get back on here on this second lap and really give us a race for this one. Sean Downing just checking in. Harlow and Sean from Baltimore Island. Thanks for saying hi. William Evans from Virginia, USA. Rico Lachlan Jones, thanks for saying hi. William Sharrett also getting on board. And a big super chat from Dave as well. Thanks for your support, Dave. We love those super chats as well. They all help as well. Thanks to Dave for his super chats. So thanks for getting on board. Here's our chasing group: Loes Sels, Marianne Norbert-Ribeiro, Sanne Cant, and Manon Bakker. Someone was asking me the best Belgian beer that if you were to choose one. I can't drink. I know it's going to sound bad being a cyclocross commentator.
Don't do it to us, Marty.
Can't drink normal beer, but it was always Duvel or Trappist for me.
I would have to say West Vlieteren is my favorite. That's a little place out in West Flanders that has delicious beer. You can ride out to their brewery and have some beer made by the monks. They make it, they sell it to support everything that they do there at the Trappist and the monastery. And it is a really, really nice spot to be able to go out and ride to. The ride home, usually when you go out to one of those, is a little bit a little bit different, but that might be something that you would partake in the February weeks of the cyclocross season.
Yeah, I'm going to give some props to Jason Lewis here. Thanks, Jason. I was just going to check back through my my notes, but I'll give you the props on this one. Fifth, Annemarie Huers off the podium a few times. Fifth at Koksijde, fourth at Havre, fifth at Rode, 12th at Heaton, and fourth at Boom. Thanks, Jason. I was just about to search through my notes for that one, but yeah, we'll give you the big up on that one. Thanks for doing that today. This chasing group's looking good. Two leaders. Annemarie Huers is within striking distance now of Denise Betzemer. Can she get back on these huge big whoops that the riders are going through on this section? Marianne Norbert-Ribeiro just comes to a halt over the top of this one. This, Jeremy, though, for anyone watching, if you're a young rider and you want to be a cross rider, or you want to improve your cross skills, or your kids want to be a cross rider, this is where it shows being a multidisciplined rider, especially when you're young, when you see the likes of Mathieu van der Poel and those riders coming through from BMX. And BMX, whether you're a track rider, I've seen so many. Chris Hoy started as a BMX rider. Jamie Staff, lots of the Dutch track riders start as BMX riders as well. And now these sections now that are creeping into cross, as Annemarie Huers just makes contact with Denise Betzemer at the front. That's why I think it's always good to really, especially for young riders, sort of not preach, that's the wrong word completely, encourage that you should be a multidisciplined rider. And even though the trend at the moment is for cyclocross, that you shouldn't limit yourself.
Definitely, yeah. You shouldn't. You should do downhill mountain biking. You should do cross-country mountain biking. You should do road racing. You should do all types of things to really just, especially when you're young, to find out what you like and what your skill sets are. I mean, I did mountain biking to start, had some success there, enjoyed it, but then decided, you know what, I think I'm all right on the road. Let's try some road stuff. So went over to the road. Yeah, that was fun for me. I was okay at some criteriums and some other races. You know, time trial here or there, things like that. I really enjoyed. Not a climber for sure. You know, not my suit. But then when I got into cyclocross, it was kind of the right combination of explosivity and focus and the amount of time that the races were. So, you know, to each their own, and not every person's created the same. That's what makes life beautiful. And I think it was nice it's nice to be able to be, as a cyclist, you can pop in and out of these other disciplines and try something and see what it is. Whereas like with basketball, it's basketball. You know, you play basketball, you don't play basketball. There's no horse world championships, so to speak. You know what I mean? There's not one-to-one like professional games. So it's you really have to, I think, give that to cycling, that there is some really cool things that you can take a lot of the disciplines and put them and combine them. And this cyclocross is really a combination of road and off-road in a very untraditional and maybe sometimes not very sensible way.
That chasing group there: Loes Sels, Marianne Norbert-Ribeiro, Manon Bakker, Sanne Cant, Ellen van Looy, and Laura Verdonschot coming together. But you've got a race on your hands. You can see as we go into lap 3 here, as this chasing group, Joyce van der Beeken just trying to get on with Mount Captains not far away as they're getting up there. A few shout outs. Darren Howitt, thanks for saying hi. David Brazil as well. German Rodriguez, Spaniard living in Scotland. There you go. You're living in my homeland. Thanks for good on you. David Ward, board. Thanks for saying hi. I'll just give you a few more shout outs today because you're as well, because this is our final cross of the season as well. So it's an emotional day for us here in the commentary box. Carol Valentin as well. Thanks for saying hi, and Sarah Hager from Sarah and Detlef from Plymouth, Vermont. I think Sarah won a prize last year, didn't she? Am I right, Sarah? I think we did that last year.
So for the first time now, we're seeing Annemarie Worst hit the front here in this Rectavit series up in Leuven. If you're just joining us, Leuven in Belgium, one of the beer capitals in the place that really does. There's a lot of beer over in Belgium, Marty, but you can see now Annemarie Worst getting her weight back, going through this tricky section. And the thing that I say about this course, there's a lot of speed changes, a lot of rhythm sections, as you see there. The riders navigating these super steep dips that we've seen a couple of people come through. Norbert Riberola getting it right on this try now through that section. But this course has a lot of speed changes, meaning, you have to slow way down to get through one section, then a lot of speed into another section. You got to come into this section where they're going to want to carry a lot of speed. And I think, Marty, this, in my opinion, is where you're going to see some decisive attacks come in the later laps, both here in the women's race, but also in the men's race, because it's those steep, big power sections right there that are going to start to accumulate over the course of the day here that are going to, I think, open up some chinks, and you're going to see where the riders' weaknesses are.
Well, indeed, you saw the two leaders quite different as well. Annemarie Worst, real powerful rider. Denise Betsema really rides with a real high cadence, and it looks like this course, as you said, that could be the really decisive section of this race today. And the Anheuser-Busch company is based in Leuven.
That's the one that I was talking about.
Yeah.
That's the one that I was talking about. Yeah, they're like the biggest in the world. I remember. I couldn't. I'm glad that you knew that. As we see there, that's what I'm talking about. These steep sections there, just having a hard time getting through there. And I think that was Laura Verdonschot that's having a problem with that one. But this is a fun section for the fans. It's a hillside that they've made into a kind of like a couple 180s, up down, and the fans can all see quite a bit of racing and get through. As we see there, the 3-time world champion, Belgian champion Sanne Cant coming through, and then there on the front is the addition to the 777, or is it the Craven Fridstads program? I believe she sent. Yeah, so it's good to see. It's good to see that she's signed over there now. That's going to be a nice fit for her after leaving Experza.
Yeah, it was a bit of an odd one. Marcus Cromie just asking in terms of his man on out of contract or released by Experza. It was a weird one. It looked she rode the wrong wheels at the Worlds, got let go as sacked by Experza for want of a better word. But she has found a home. Real talent is this rider here, racing in the black in third place here, Manon Bakker. And you can see as well picking up some Stevens bikes there, going into that team. I think that's a really good addition to that team. Real little shout out as well, Jimmy Mack, James McCallum, thanks for getting on board, thanks for watching. Great commentator as well is Jimmy Mack from Scotland, great coach as well. Sanne Cant kicking it out of that corner, looking good is Sanne Cant today. Look at this section at the moment, Jeremy, through these big BMX sections. To me, Annemarie has got the measure of Betsema through those through the big sort of BMX sections. Just looks a little bit smoother through there for me.
Well, she'll have looked at where she was able to bring back time on the course earlier when she was chasing Betsema through that first lap, 2 laps of the race. And so now she'll know that when she was bringing time back, it was through these sections. So she wants to be on the front here to really push the pace to try to put Betsema into a bit of a hurt. And so you can see now Betsema coming up alongside her, though, in this section, and then maybe putting in one bike length. So she's definitely trying to match her. They're playing some mind games. The thing that's different about this, that's not the same as Celine Del Carmen Alvarado and the Annemarie battles that we've been so lucky to see all year long, is that these riders, while they did race a lot together before this season, they have not raced together in almost a year. And so now they don't know each other's styles as well. Annemarie Worst does not know exactly how Betsema goes through a section, where she might be strong or where she might not be. So there's going to be a little bit of unknown as they come into this. Of course, they're both very good bike racers, but that knowledge, that real like intimate way to be like, okay, I know exactly how this rider looks when they're suffering, or that this bit just looks a little bit off, or the way that she's sitting on the bike, I can tell that she's under pressure. They don't know that about each other here, so that could lead for some really good last 2 laps of racing.
They are looking good. I think for me, Anna-Marie on that real first steep bank section that they're managing to ride at the moment. That's where, as this race goes on, she's going to need to be careful. And I can see when you go back, watch the way Denise Betsema is trying to wrestle her way through to the front to try and hit that section, as I think that's the one that really is playing into the hands of the Poel Sels and Bingo rider. Mike Gorkowski, thanks, Mike. GCN needs to make Marty Save Cross t-shirts. Yeah, I found Tim and Lindsay that had the signs last week, so big shout out to them for watching. Dwayne Randolph from Ontario in Canada, thanks for saying hi. Thanks to all of you. I think we can be really proud of ourselves. We've built such a great cross community over the last couple of seasons here on GCN Racing. I love watching all the chat and interaction between you all as well. You're doing a great job, and I think we've changed some things here over the last couple of seasons. This is a good battle. Manon Bakker and Sanne Cant, the Belgian champion seat, looking resplendent in that Belgian champions jersey. This is your fight for the race lead. Anna-Marie Vos just takes a little glance over the shoulder just to see where Denise Betsema is. Now just maneuvering her through to the front a little bit. It's fairly blowy today as well. It's a fairly blustery day. We are being battered in Europe at the moment by the wind, and in terms of it, it's a 48 to 50, about 48 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit for the racing today, and that's about 9 to 11 degrees Celsius, but they have got 32 to 37 km/h winds, kind of south-southwesterly direction winds today. They're looking around at each other. Lara Verdonschot kicks it out of that corner, trying to get back up to Manon Bakker and Sanne Cant here that go through. We cast our minds back last year. Loes Sels, Anna-Marie Vos, Ellen van Looy, Yara Kastlein, Lara Verdonschot, Shirin van Anrooy, one of rider she has become this season. Mount Captains, Alicia Maria Arzufi, Anna Kay and Joyce van der Beek, and that was your top 10 on this occasion last year. This race, we're going back to 2011. Marianne Vos, the winner. Sanne Cant in 2012. Swung back to Vos in 2014. Sabrina Stultians in 2015. We had Sophie de Boer in 2016. Katie Compton 2017. And then back-to-backs for Loes Sels here behind, who's sitting behind Ellen van Looy. Marianne Norbert Riberol from Experza is not far behind as Denise Betsema gets back through to the front. Takes a little glance back there to Anna-Marie Vos, who's been on the front dictating the pace for quite a while. Now she gets the Poel Sels and Bingo rider back through towards the front. Anna-Marie, quite an interesting tactician to watch sometimes in the way she rides. Hits that front, dictates the pace, throws a few little curveballs at her opponent, then sits back a little bit, starts to watch, takes those mental notes to see how Betsema's riding, how she's going to defeat her over the course of the next couple of laps.
That's right, and you could hear Bart Wellens there down in the bottom part of the course just yelling information to Anna-Marie. Now, what is he saying? I could assume something along the lines of be smart, sit on, make sure that you're staying back as we see these riders navigating these very fast sections with those big drops. But definitely Anna-Marie Vos taking notes on these sections. I think that's probably the most important thing, is that she pays attention to where Betsema's going well, how she's doing, and this is an important lap for her to be able to understand everything about the way that she's going. You can see here there's a little bit of a gap there through that section. That doesn't mean that there's any panic, but it does mean that in the next laps, if she wants to open up a gap, she's going to want to be on the front through there. As they fly through this section, they take a lot of speed into this section here, which brings all the way up to the top with another descent and then another steep run up. So Anna-Marie Vos is going to be looking at this and seeing how strong is Betsema as Betsema tries to, maybe this is an attack, Marty. Maybe this is something where Anna-Marie Vos just had a foot down there. She knows that she's going to need to get back on terms, and Betsema is going to be hearing behind her that she's just a little bit off the pace. So now she's going to up the ante and try to go all in on this. What at first did not seem like an attack, maybe a little sleeper attack, but Anna-Marie Vos now just trying to get right back up to Betsema to make sure that she knows that she's not dropped yet and that she's still got some fight left.
She has indeed. Manon Bakker hits this section. Can she keep the power going through there? Anna-Marie Vos battling back here to Denise Betsema. This could be Betsema's opportunity to try and distance herself from Anna-Marie Vos. These climbing sections are definitely suiting her. Jeremy, I think that's a good, these banks that we've got here today, it's a good way to sort of, I think sometimes the angles, we miss the sort of subtleties that you need to be able to ride these banks, the way you have to shift your weight backwards and forwards to keep that traction, because sometimes when you're just watching it just looks like you're just riding up a bank.
Marty McDonald safe cross in the background. It's back. Yeah, they're back. I don't
We're
remember
there,
their names, but
baby.
they're back. Oh my goodness. All right. The world is complete. This is amazing. As you see now, Betsema getting that 180 there, Marty, able to see that Anna-Marie Worst is slightly gapped. So Anna-Marie Worst now going to have to do a little bit of work to dig back in to get back on terms with the Betsema. Betsema, I don't think set out initially with an attack, but through those steep sections was able to distance the former European champ and under 23 women's world champ, Anna-Marie Worst, on those sections here today in Leuven.
Indeed, and Denise Betsema's got the front again, and she's got a decent gap here now to Anna-Marie Worst behind her into the rhythm section this time. As they kick on
a little hot into
here.
that one. A little hot into those. You can see that she's not quite comfortable. And I think the thing that's interesting about these, it looks like some of them are very steep on the top and just kind of throwing the riders around a little bit. But you see here, Betsema using the inside of that line, going all the way outside, but got a good shot of Anna-Marie Worst and where that is. Might have just been one thing too many. Those steep sections are unfortunately somewhere that you cannot hide on a course like this. Anna-Marie Worst, I think we could agree, has had a very long season, and it might just be one fight too many for the rider here today from the Netherlands.
Indeed, as Denise Betsema kicks on here, there's a few asking in terms of it just clicks through a little bit too quick sometimes on my first screen, but some of the places to go in terms of developing cyclocross programs if you don't want to come here to Belgium or to the Netherlands, Switzerland, definitely a good place to go. Thanks to Armin Russenberger for getting in on that one as well. The Swiss EKZ series is a good one, so if you're a rider and you want to come over, get some experience, check out the French Cup, check out the Swiss EKZ series as well. So those are also good ones if you're wanting to plan next season and come here and come and race these races, then those are the ones to definitely check out. Your leader, Denise Betsema, just now starting to lap some riders in front of her. Anna-Marie Worst just kicking back here just to try and get back up to the leader here, Denise Betsema. If you like your live pro women's racing in terms of what's coming up here on GCN Racing, next weekend is Omloop Het Nieuwsblad, which is one of my favourite races of the year, and we have live coverage of the women's Leap Pro Women's Omloop Het Nieuwsblad next Saturday, so I will be back for that one. Check your territories on that one to get 100% on that, so just check your territories in terms of that one, but put that one in your diary for next weekend. It's a great race. Anna-Marie, just maybe Jeremy, just one race too far here in terms of the victory today. Starting to still look a little bit fatigued here.
Definitely, and how could you blame her? How could you blame her? She's had a great year, but the battle for third, Marty, is looking like it's going to be a race in itself. We've got the like I said before, 3-time world champ, current Belgian champion, Sanne Cant. We've got the very hungry and determined excuse me, Manon Bakker is there in second in the black jersey, and then just behind her, I believe, is Loes Sels, Marty?
The rider behind Manon Bakker is in black, and Loes Sels in that Eco Creelan jersey. There's Manon Bakker, Verdanschot, and Sanne Cant.
Sorry, Verdanschot. I'm so sorry. Sorry, Verdanschot. This is a battle. I'm sorry. That was a bit of a miss there on my end, and I take credit for that. But that battle is going to be great because these are 3 hungry riders that have not been up on the podium very much, any of them all season long. So an opportunity to really showcase themselves. I was able to see this rider here on the front in the black, Manon Bakker, really show off at the early World Cups in the United States. So a rider that came onto my radar, definitely bigger than a lot of the other women that is out there, able to put down a lot of power. But now that she's signed for the Crayford Fridge Says team, she's going to be teammates with Ava Lechner next year, and it's exciting for her because this is an opportunity to put herself up there and really set herself in the right direction for next season, Marty.
They are indeed. So a leader, Denise Betsema, kicking on through the section. Lap 5 of 6 that we are on here. Here comes our chasing group. Lara Verdanschot and Sanne Cant up to the rider in the black here, Manon Bakker. Just a few rumours to touch on as well in terms of the movement of some riders for next season. Tormund's still looking for a pro woman. There's likely that I've heard some rumours that Annick van Alphen might be going there next season. Of course, the Tormund cyclocross team of what is Circus Wanty Group Gobert, they'll need a pro woman to have for that to sort of compete in that. That's one of the requirements. Loes Sels and Ella Van Looy going through your picture. Marianne Norbert Riberol, as she got an issue here. She's skipping along. That's usually a sign of a mechanical here for Marianne.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure what happened there, but definitely looks like maybe a broken chain or something of that nature, just because she's not able to pedal the bike. So that would give me a sense, maybe a derailleur or a broken chain, and looks like it is some combination, maybe a stuck chain, in fact.
Looks like it's caught there, doesn't it? As our chaser just up and down the banks here, and just shows what you can do with not a huge amount of elevation change. But Denise Betsema from Poel, Sels and Bingold kicks on here as at the head of the race. And I think, I don't know if you'd agree, I think there'll be some mixed emotions for some riders. She's coming back from that doping ban. The doping ban that she was given was the length that she was given. So it's a difficult one for some, isn't it, this situation?
Yeah, it is. Tough one. I can't say that I'm the jury on this. That I have no idea. Definitely, I think I can summarize it in saying that it's unfortunate. How's that? It's very unfortunate what's happened with this. And yeah, she's out here now. She's racing. The UCI has given her the clearance, and so yeah, she was one of the top riders of last year's season. She had a breakout year, a lot of victories, taking that first World Cup win as an amateur, technically in Coxsida, but able to really put her name up on the top of the leaderboard as one of the best racers in the world in cyclocross. So yeah, she's back and she's at the front of this race, and she's definitely leaving a mark on this sport overall. I think that she's one of the riders that, you know, if you look at her skill sets, Marty, she's got a unique skill set, and that she can technically, she seems like she's there. She does have a lot of explosivity, but she's able to suffer, and that was one of the things last year that I'd see a lot, is that she was able to just sit there and suffer. She was happy to ride the front and have a somewhat of a no fear type of attitude. So you know, she is out here on the front. Like you said, there will be some mixed emotions for some riders, but hopefully over the coming months or years, we're able to understand and have some more clarity around everything that did happen with that doping ban, and she's able to move forward from it, as is the sport.
Just Jan Buxton, thanks for bringing that in. Saying Annick van Alphen has also signed for Griffin Fridge-Sales. Thanks for that. We do try and keep up to date with all of it, but we do rely on you all as well in terms of those little bits of those nuggets of information that we sometimes miss. In terms of that is your chasing group though. There's your leader. Denise Betsema is at the front here for Poel, Sels and Bingold. So in the red, her teammate Laura Verdonschot. Laura Verdonschot's having a really good day as well. Looks like she's finishing the season quite strongly. Really coming on well as this race is going on.
Absolutely. That's what I think. For me, the race for third place is the most exciting, because we have three riders that are just very hungry to be up on that podium. So they're going to be fighting. As you see now, we're seeing some chinks in the armor there. Marianne Vos, Sanne Cant there, but it's Laura Verdonschot that's taking a little bit of a swing here, Marty. Now you're seeing the three-time world champ, Belgian champ, Sanne Cant trying to get back up there to close that gap up, as Marianne Vos is having a small moment of pain here. As you see now, Anna Marie Worth coming into the planks, and we see now Betsema on the front. Everyone's got their iPads and their cameras out to see their best riders coming through Leuven today.
They are indeed, and Anna Marie, here's your chasing group: Laura Verdonschot, Sanne Cant and Manon Bakker. This is going to be a good battle behind for third place here as we go through this big rhythm section, and a little tabletop in the middle there. You'd want to clear that on your dirt bike from start to finish, wouldn't you, Jeremy? Just hit the first one and land on the last one.
I mean, in a perfect world, you know, I would say that yeah, you don't want to miss up the timing on that one. I don't think so. But yes, if I had my own way, I would like to. I was looking at some of the branding there, and Stella Artois is the beer sponsor that is on the side of the VIP tent there, and also brewed here in Leuven. So good on them for getting them to sponsor the event. It only makes sense in Belgium having one of the biggest beer brands in the world sponsor the cyclocross race there. So Stella Artois, shout out to them for having some branding over on the VIP tent.
Is it reassuringly expensive, isn't it? Stella Artois is the tagline for that. Jan Buxton just saying, sorry, Annick van Alphen is probably moving to Creerfin. Was on Cyclocross 24, but not confirmed. Yeah, thanks for that. Good. Always good to get the rumours and what's going on here in the terms of the cyclocross world going into next winter. Denise Betsema on to the road here, as you can see, got the leg warmers on. Annemarie Horst, I think, will be kicking back and probably ready for vacation tomorrow. Annemarie.
Definitely. She's got the nail polish that matches the frame, the bike's color, which is pretty cool. Everybody's here. We got to be color correct. As you see, Betsema now down, really putting in some effort here to get through this section. You can see that the flags are blowing, that there is quite a bit of wind out here. As Marty said, we see Betsema now go through with 1 to go, and Annemarie Worst in chase mode. She's wearing number 2, signifying that she's ranked 2nd in the UCI rankings right now in the world. And now we've got this group. It's Sanne Cant able to bring back Laura Verdonschot, and then on Backer there in the black for third, for riding in 5th place. But this is the battle for 3rd spot on the podium today, and it is heating up to be a good one as we go into 1 to go.
You can see just the wind just blowing and buffeting those tapes on the side of this section. If you're just getting on board, welcome. Live coverage as we go into the final lap. GP Leuven in the Rectavit cross series, so no general classification to battle for in this one. Laura Verdonschot and Sanne Cant just having a little chat with each other as they go through that through there. With 1 lap to go, Manon Bakker in the all black there. But here's our leader.
See a little bit of
yeah, go on, Jeremy.
Just has a bit of this is that moment here with 1 to go where we're just going to kind of sort out things and figure out what's going to happen now, because the riders are realizing that their race is for 3rd place. They're not going to get Annemarie Worst back. They're going to need to kind of work things out here and talk about how they can who's going to be the first rider to jump from this group. And it's Manon Bakker that wants to keep the pace high, but these riders behind have played this game before, and they all know that there's a section of this course that they're going to want to be on the front for. So where is the race to? Where are they going to try to get to that's going to allow them to have the best chance of success here? Are they going to lay down an attack through this section? Are they going to wait for the steep sections? Are they going to want to try to rubber band the Sanne Cant off the back and put her in 3rd place? These are all questions that are going through every single rider in that race for 3rd place's group. So it's going to be interesting to see how the world champion plays that, because if you talk about experience, Marty, Sanne Cant definitely has the most in that group, and I know that she would really like to be up on that podium today.
Would do indeed. You saw Alicia Maria Zufi just coming through the line for 777. Just to give you a heads up as well, the men's race starts on the hour, just in case you're looking for that one. So it was a good field in terms of the men's race today. Here's your chaser, Manon Bakker now through to the front, as she just tries to distance Laura Verdonschot and Sanne Cant. Denise Betsema hits this bank section and runs that one. Remounts at the top. Annemarie just about to hit this section now. Manages to ride on that one. Stays there. Good power by Annemarie Horst through that section there. Your leader kicking on. This is the good battle here. Can Manon Bakker get clear of Verdonschot and Sanne Cant? I think that's a good move for Manon Bakker next season to go to Creerfin. I think she'll really, as anyone would, benefit from the coaching and the technical knowledge of Bart Wellens.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that ability to have a professional program that is a good fit. They've shown that they have another program here with the 777, the 777 women's team. That is definitely the place that if I was getting an opportunity to race for and I was a professional woman, that I would be really excited about. So yeah, good. Hats off to her. That's almost a I wouldn't say a step up, but it's definitely not a step down. You know, it is a great level of support that I'm sure she's going to be really excited to have, and she's lucky to have. And so there's a limited number of jobs out there. She's shown herself to be one of the great up and coming riders of this sport, and I think it's a good move for her. So I'm happy to see her land somewhere and have an opportunity to get out there with that program next season.
Yeah, so our leader, Denise Betsema, is at the front and leading Anne-Marie Horst here. And I know this is for the world of pro cyclocross. It was a disappointing time when Denise Betsema tested positive last winter. She's coming in, as we said earlier on in the race today, probably the freshest rider, having not competed the full season. And yeah, it kind of it's a difficult. It's not a difficult situation because the doping ban that she received, many pros deemed that the ban was too short in terms of that, because as we all know, every rider is responsible for what they have in their body. So yeah, it's disappointing in terms of it does last year with all the races that this rider crossed the line first and then was subsequently stripped off. It sometimes somewhat makes a mockery of what we do as well, trying to big up riders and say how astounding performances are. But she's going to finish the season here. She's taken the ban that she was handed, and she's back and she's going to take the victory to date and kicking on here at the front for Poel, Sels and Bingo.
And there is Anne-Marie Wurst now coming in second place. See those blue Shimano shoes as she comes around the corner and gets into one of this last whoop sections. You got to be wondering what they're thinking about. I wonder if on Monday we'll be seeing a picture of Anne-Marie Wurst on a beach somewhere. What do you think, Marty?
We've seen Celine Del Carmen Alvarado on the beach this week as well. She's had a phenomenal year. I think I think Anne-Marie has had an absolutely astounding season. I think the battles between her and Celine Del Carmen Alvarado behind have been phenomenal. This section here, that's such a great camera shot as well of this chasing group. Sanne Cant through to the front here, the Eco Creelan rider into the planks. As I said, Laura Verdonschot at the back of the group is having a good final race of the season.
We saw the world champion there, the three-time world champion Sanne Cant there, trying to get into the front and really push that pace through that section. I know that she's going to try to use her experience to just use this last 5 minutes of this race, Marty, her race, to be able to try to get up there on the front. I can't wait till we get a shot back there to see if she's been able to do any damage to this section, but definitely she probably took a look at everything that was going on there in that group and the dynamic around it to be able to see, just see, here we go, that attack that she opened up there, really going for it. You can see she's got a foot out on those, maybe just a little too much speed as she goes through to try to get that down. One not able to get that back. But Marty, here it is, the finish line for Denise Betsema.
Denise Betsema of Poel, Sels and Bingo rides up to the finish, salutes the crowd at the end. She was really went it out from the first lap, really. So that was, there is your winner today, and behind her is Anne-Marie Horst of 777. If you've been with us throughout the season here on GCN Racing, Anne-Marie, and if you haven't seen Jeremy's Day Out with Anne-Marie, go and check that out over on GCN. If you haven't seen Jeremy's Day Out with 777 at the Koppenberg Cross, go and check that one out as well. She's going to come in second. This battle here, Jeremy, who's your money on in this group?
Oh, man. Menenbacher has definitely got the power in the legs, but I have to say that Sanne Cant is going to be the rider that's going to be most hungry to take this one. She definitely has a good sprint finish, and she's got the experience. I'm going with Menenbacher today.
Oh, okay, nice one. We'll see what we can do. Can Sanne Cant
she's
get
hungry.
onto the podium?
I think she's hungry.
Does she look hungry?
I think she wants to try to put herself up there. As you see, Anne-Marie Wurst just coming in, finishing up second place with a salute to the crowd. It's been a long season for this rider. When you think back to July, when I was out there riding with her coming into this season, preparing everything, from July. That is a long time ago, Marty, with a lot of races in between. As you see these riders now coming in, eyeing each other up. Verdonschot in a really good position to be able to launch off these riders as they come into the headwind. It's going to be a throwdown and a big sprint finish. You see one thing that I can tell you is that Sanne Cant's on the drop. She knows how to sprint, and then she's going to lead it out. Sanne Cant now taking a big dig on backer, trying to get on terms up in the hoods as well as Verdonschot, but it's the three-time world champion in the Belgian current national champion in the drops, kicking to the finish line, Marty.
Here comes Sanne Cant, as Jeremy said, out of that corner already in the drops. Look at the face now of Sanne Cant. She wants the podium today, takes third. Great sprint there. Those two riders behind could take a few mental notes from Sanne Cant there into the drops on the sprint. Ellen van Looy comes through and crosses the line next, just ahead of Loes Sels. That was a good finish. Got to sprint on the drops on a long sprint like that as well.
If I could have changed my opinion right as I noticed that no one else was going to the drops, I would have. Something that you learn, you have to sprint in the drops. It's always so important. It's not, of course, you could win a sprint on the hoods, but I've sprinted on the hoods before. But that's really when you don't have enough time. But Sanne Cant, with plenty of time to be able to get low, lead that out, and then put in a big kick to the finish line. Not surprised, but great to see her going to be up on that podium today, and definitely finishing off a season that I'm sure she's probably a little bit disappointed by, but also going to be happy with the result today here to be able to get up there.
Indeed, as the shots of your winner, we just saw Alicia Maria Zufi just crossing the line as well. There's Alicia Frank coming in next for Experza, just ahead of Joyce van der Beeken. Good day out there for Joyce, Belgian champion, got a former Belgian champion rather. You can see if you're new to cycling, the colours around the cuffs of the jersey signify they've been a champion, national champion, continent champion or world champion. Here's Mount Captains coming in next, just over 47 minutes of racing for Mount Captains. And here is your winner with their kids in the tent. We'll see if we get a top 10 here. I love this bit of this double BMX section, Jeremy. I think that's got to be one of my favourite sections. I think they've done a good job with that.
Yeah, and they've got the local band out. Looks like they're wearing some Stella Artois jackets. They're just kind of making things happen. They've got the drum set. They've got the horns out. Yeah, so they're making it happen. They're probably bringing some energy to the race. So that's nice to see. Always good. Back in the day at the U.S. Grand Prix of cyclocross, when we were out in Portland, they used to bring out the local band from the high school. Used to rip it up, and it created such a cool environment with the snares, with the big drum sets. So yeah, I know that can add a lot of flavor to a race in the in the winter, and also with the gray skies and some rain and stuff like that. It really makes for a fun one as we see some riders finishing off their efforts today out here with a big kick and trying to come to the finish line. It's not trying to get an ID on that rider, but I'll take my best shot at it. Number 17 coming through, that would be Viri Goosens. And then number 27 there is Joe Blankert.
So there you have it. So the elite men's race is in just under 30 minutes time. We're just over the half hour point. And if you haven't been with us before, we'll bring you the women's podiums just before we come back for the elite men's race. And good battle that we had today here in the Rectavit cross. And Jeremy, Denise Betsema come back, takes that. Anna-Marie Huerst second place, but great to see Sanne Cant getting up there and out sprinting that group for third.
Yeah, definitely. It was I don't think the attack was as wild as I think we've seen in some of the other races where it was really head to head. Betsema able to just really take a small dig on one of those power sections that is just unfortunately not able to claw Anna-Marie. She wasn't able to claw her way back. She had to do a little bit of work in those first two laps to try to get back. Betsema was strong in those very powerful strength sections of the course, able to take a small gap and then hang on to it. Anna-Marie Huerst had no answer for that today. But then in the back, it was Sanne Cant with taking that third place, getting down in the drops, getting onto that final finishing straight, and making sure that she made sure that she was up on that podium today, because she looked like she was very determined, Marty. When that last finishing straight came, there was no way that she was missing that party.
Not at all. And it's always a good lesson, isn't it? Sprinting on the drops. Especially you've got a nice long straight like that. Get in those drops. And
Definitely. It was fair too. It was a headwind, so not the little bit to lead it out from the front on a headwind finish like that. Yeah, that's the way that you take the bull by the horns.
Okay, let's remind ourselves of that elite women's race. Here are the highlights of today's race. You can see slightly smaller field than we've been used to at times so far this season. 33 riders on the start line. It's Annemarie Vos, Marianne Norbert-Rieberol, Sanne Cant, there, Alicia Frank, all getting themselves up there. It was Denise Betsema that got the whole shot through the first Corne Van Kessel, getting herself up there early on. Annemarie Vos there on the opening lap, taking a little bit of a tumble, and Mount captains Sanne Cant behind her. But ultimately, Annemarie Vos would find her way back up to our leader and made it a duo at the front.
It was indeed. And so here she is, Betsema on the front, Annemarie Vos coming back in. You see there just the fatigue on both riders' face. Definitely Betsema pushing the pace in that first laps. But you see them coming through these whoop sections. And it was there, Marty, that the first gap opened up and Betsema started to hear a little bit of chinks in the armor from Annemarie Vos coming back, trying to get on terms. But then it was through this section where she was able to see the Marty McDonald saved cross sign. So she dug a little bit deeper, but she was just not able to get onto Betsema's wheel, and unfortunately, it was a battle that was not meant to be. Betsema went off and did her thing and was able to continue to just extend that lead from that point on.
Yeah, the most interesting battle, that third spot on the podium today. It was the Poel bingo rider. At the end, just over 43, nearly 44 minutes of racing, and she crossed the line. Annemarie Vos, little wave to the crowd for the 777 rider as she crossed the line in second, and this was the sprint for third. Sanne Cant, great sprinter, kicking it out of that bottom corner, and then the fight between Manon Bakker and Laura Verdonschot for the fourth place. But there you have it, long finishing straight as played right into the hands of Sanne Cant as she sprinted to the line. Okay, we'll give you a little bit of halftime entertainment. Jeremy and I will be back about 10 to the hour, the elite men's race starting on the hour. We'll see you in a little while.
Decision, because there are a lot of different types. So we got together with Shimano, who this year launched the first gravel-specific group sets, GRX, to put together this video to help to guide you through the maze. Because actually, once you understand just a few key points, the whole thing begins to make sense, and you'll be able to choose the right bike for you. And it doesn't matter what your budget, the principles remain the same. Firstly, I want to introduce you to the spectrum. Some gravel riding is basically just road riding, but browner. And some gravel is not gravel at all. It's actually just mountain biking. So the spectrum then is the spread of all the terrains and surfaces that span road to mountain bike. And it's relevant because while a gravel bike is truly a great do-it-all bike, some perform better at one end of the spectrum than the other. Now, happily, most do fall somewhere in the middle. But how do you know? Well, I'm going to give you some pointers. Firstly, clearance, because tyre size is probably the biggest factor governing a bike's ability on different surfaces. Some gravel bikes have clearance restricted to about 35 millimetres, whereas others will allow you to fit tyres up to and in excess of 50 millimetres, which is kind of like mountain bike territory, really. Although, in the words of our own J-Pow, Jeremy Powers, there's nothing you can't handle on a 40 millimetre wide tyre like this one. Which is true. However, you might find that on really rough and long days out in the saddle, you might want an even wider tyre than that, just to add a little bit more comfort the ability to run lower pressures. Plus, you're also able to relax a little bit more when you're going faster on rougher terrain because there's much less chance of you puncturing and dinging your wheels. Some gravel bikes actually have a bit of a party trick in that you can fit smaller diameter 650B wheels and then correspondingly much fatter tyres. And that really does add to their versatility, but you've obviously got to buy 2 pairs of wheels. Basically though, more tyre clearance means more versatility, but there is a trade-off, and that is that less tyre clearance can mean that a bike feels a little bit more zippy, a little bit more like a road bike, but on steroids, which doesn't sound like a bad thing. Linked into that road bike feel, we also need to talk about the position that the bike puts you, the rider, into. So a road bike does tend to be quite long and quite low. It's faster because it makes you more aerodynamic. If you're doing longer or even multi-day rides, then you tend to want to be a little bit higher up, perhaps a little bit shorter, to increase the comfort. And the same is true for riding off-road as well, except in that instance it's less about comfort and more about improved control. And you'll see when you start to look at gravel bikes that actually the geometry of them can vary quite significantly depending on which end of the spectrum it's on. So either fast and racy or slow and relaxed, or like in this instance, the Orbea Terra, it kind of fits in that middle ground in that it can kind of go either way. How do you know which one is which? Well, you will have to compare geometry charts. Yes, you can always find them on the web page of any bike that you're interested in. And basically, once you've found your size, you then need to seek out the reach and stack numbers. They basically tell you how far forward and how high the front of the bike will be, and they are the single best measurement on the bike. Because while you can more often than not find the right saddle height in relation to your pedals, either by moving the seat post up and down or the saddle forwards and backwards, if your handlebars are in the wrong place, you are much more limited. If you're comparing the geometry and fit of lots of different bikes, why not create your own reach and stack spreadsheet? Or, better still, head to geometrygeeks.bike, which is a website I happily stumbled upon the other day, where someone has basically done it all for you. Amazing. Let's talk about gears next. We know to look out for tyre size and also body position, geometry on our frames, but what we choose to put on there also has an influence on where your bike will sit on that gravel spectrum. As I said at the beginning, we've partnered with Shimano for this video, so we are of course going to be using their GRX group sets to illustrate. Not long ago, gravel bikes just had road group sets on. And that's fine, they already had compact gear ratios, so you could get some fairly low gears for steep off-road climbing. So it's fair to say then you don't need anything specific, except for disc brakes, which for me are an essential, having the ability to have predictable, consistent braking no matter what the road surface nor the weather conditions. And also, they place 0 restrictions on tyre width, just us fat bikers. Now, furthermore, one point I would make here is that the difference between hydraulic disc brakes and cable-actuated disc brakes is vast. So if there was ever anything to stretch your budget for, then going for hydraulic disc brakes as opposed to cable-actuated disc brakes is it. They give you more power, more modulation, and more ability to withstand crappy conditions. So if you can afford it, do it. There have been several other advances in recent years, not least the choice between 2-by drivetrains and 1-by, something that's worthy of a video all on its own, and it will indeed get one. But in a nutshell, 1-by drivetrains look a lot cleaner and tend to be a little bit lighter. You can also still get a really wide spread of gears, but if you do choose wide ratios, you will get larger jumps between them. Now, this isn't a problem off-road, but it's something that does frustrate some people on the road. 2-by, meanwhile, 2-by, meanwhile, gives you the ability to have wider gear ratios and smaller jumps between them. But something to bear in mind is that on a standard road group set, the front derailleur puts a restriction on the maximum tyre width. On GRX, Shimano have bumped up that maximum to 42 millimeters, so it does comfortably exceed J-Pow's minimum. But remember that if you want to fit really wide tyres on your gravel bike, you are going to need one by. Another point to look out for, if budget allows, is to get a rear derailleur with a clutch on. Now, with a one-by setup, this and a specific chain ring are important to keep the chain on, but actually I think it's still desirable on a two-by setup as well, because it keeps your bike so much quieter. Not adding to your speed, perhaps, but definitely to enjoyment. One other point that I often get asked questions on relates to gear ratios. Yes, such a sexy term that I would imagine if you're watching this video and anyone is within earshot, they've immediately stopped what they're doing and they're going to come over and watch as well. If, however, they missed it first time round, I'll say it once more for their benefit so they don't miss out. Gear ratios! Yeah, there we go. Now, as terribly boring as it sounds, it is worth paying a little bit of attention to. For example, if you are going to be buying a gravel bike for the smoother end of the gravel spectrum, it's worth choosing gears that are optimised for faster riding. However, do not get too concerned about maximum gear sizes. Yes, if you're racing, you really don't want to get dropped on a descent because you can't pedal fast enough, but in the real world, I don't tend to get too concerned about pedalling beyond about 60 k's an hour. And the 48-tooth chainring that's on this particular GRX setup, or the 46 that you often get on the other 2x version, is plenty big enough to be able to pedal beyond 60 k an hour. And actually the 1x setup as well is quite happy doing that if you're comfortable spinning away. At the other end of the spectrum, for rougher off-road riding, you definitely want to optimise your gears for slower climbs, particularly if you're going to be going up steep stuff. So again, on this instance, 31-34 will be perfect for that. And also, if you're going to bike pack as well, something that gravel bikes often get pressed into service for, if you're carrying heavy luggage, bear in mind that you want lower gears as well. We've covered the basics then. Hopefully you know now what to look out for in a frame in order to make sure it's tailored for the right kind of gravel riding that you want to do. And you also know now what to look out for in a group set. But there are, of course, other things to consider, not least the material of the frame. Do you go for carbon or aluminium or steel or titanium or even magnesium? On a budget, aluminium is great. I love it. It's pretty light, it's pretty stiff, and it's also robust. What's not to like? Steel is significantly heavier, but it has a lot of fans, partly for its image and also partly for the way it feels to actually ride. Although, bear in mind that that steel feel really kicks in when you start to spend a little bit more money. Carbon is, of course, super duper light, or it can be anyway. Plus, you can also do more to the material to really tailor it, either for more comfort, through more compliance, or indeed for more stiffness. Then you have titanium, which is amazing, but a little bit heavier and also expensive. And then lastly, magnesium, which is new on the market, or at least new again, and it's a little bit unproven, but it does have some pretty punchy environmental credentials, which is cool. For me though, honestly, frame material is not half such an important decision as the ones we've already covered in this video. Hence the reason, I guess, it wasn't the first thing we started with. One of the great gravel bike traits is the increased comfort that comes from the wider tyres fitted to them. But irrespective of that, a lot of manufacturers boast comfort boosting measures either built into the frames or indeed the components that are fitted to them. And this Grail is a prime example. We've got this split seat post, which effectively acts like a leaf spring and is super effective. And then also we've got this hover bar up front as well, which gives you increased compliance. And while increased compliance definitely takes the edge off bumps and it smooths out the ride, you shouldn't confuse it with suspension, which is also a thing, either a suspension fork that you can plug in the front or indeed full suspension gravel bikes. But interestingly, or perhaps not, the suspension that I've ridden on gravel hasn't actually affected where the bike sits on the gravel spectrum. That probably should have come with a nerd alert as well, shouldn't it? Sorry. Should have given you some warning. One last thing to look out for is bosses. So little bolts all over the bike that allow you to attach extra stuff to it. Now, it could be carrying extra water, which would be essential for epics in arid wilderness, or it could be for attaching luggage to your bike. Now, maybe not bike packing luggage, but certainly old school panniers and pannier racks. Or in this case, it could be for attaching mudguards to your bike as well. Personally, this isn't something that I'm all that fussed about on my gravel bikes, but it's something to bear in mind if you want a Swiss Army knife of gravel bikes, or indeed it's just something you want to have the option for. Whilst in this video, I haven't tried to tell you what the best gravel bike in the world is. Hopefully, by watching it, you've realised that you can't answer that question because it depends on you and the type of riding that you want to do on it. But now you're more empowered to make that choice because you know about the spectrum and you know how to work out where a gravel bike sits on that spectrum. So you need to look, to recap, at tyre volume and position, the geometry of the bike principally, but then also the group set as well, and little extras like if you want to go on multi-day wilderness epics, you will probably need every bolt imaginable to attach stuff to your bike. Now, if you would like to tackle another couple of questions right now that are commonly asked, such as why a gravel bike and not a cross-country mountain bike, or indeed why a gravel bike and not a cyclocross bike, we have actually made videos about those already. You can click through to them on screen now. Otherwise, please give this one a big thumbs up, and I'm going to go for a ride.
Welcome back. GP Leuven here in the Rectavit Cross Series. We're not far away now from the Elite Men's Race, about 10 minutes in fact. If you weren't with us for the Elite Women's Race, if you just tuned in half-time and you don't want to know the result or what happened, you can look away and press mute in 3, 2, 1. Let's have a look back at the Elite Women's Race. It was Denise Betsema of Poel Sels and Bingo that crossed the line first to take the victory here in Leuven today. There's your top 10. Denise Betsema from Anne-Marie Vos, Sanne Cant, Lara Vidonschop, Manon Bakker, Ellen van Loes Sels, Alicia Maria Azufi, Alicia Franke, Joyce van der Beeken is the order, the top 10. Let's have a look at the podium presentation. There's your winner on the top step of the podium, and it was a great sprint for third place. The Belgian champion Sanne Cant out sprinting that chasing group. Anne-Marie Vos there from Team 777 taking second place. And the Rectavit series, there's no general classification in that one, but let's look back to the last round in St. Nicholas. I can always tell what mood Sid's in when he does our epic montages. He's obviously feeling super mellow that day. He does such a phenomenal job with all our race montages and all his music choices as well. He's done a great job all season, as has our legend, who is Johnny Bevan as well, who our team behind your live cyclocross here on GCN Racing. They are the engine room of cyclocross. Jeremy Powers is back with me. We are going to take you through the GP Leuven here. Jeremy, looking at the course, looking at the Elite Women's Race, looking at the field that we've got assembled here, we could have a bit of a race in our hands for today from those riders that might not, the season might not have gone their own way, but they're still gunning for that victory.
Definitely. This is one of those ones where we're going to find out who's got the most energy left in the tank for this one. It's going to be a fast race. Definitely someone like Tom Mayusen, I think we saw do well here last year. You know, these steep uphill sections, technical, like really punchy little whoop sections. If you didn't see the women's race, it is definitely a fun course, and it's a lot of unique features on it. I think that there will be some banding up in some of these first turns, especially in that first lap. So getting a good start here is something that I think is going to be really important, especially in the men's race.
Yeah, definitely. Let's have a look at the start list and who's going to be we're going to see in action today. So Belgian champion Laurent Sweat, we've seen him out there warming up on the course. Toon Aerts, Elise a bit, all here. Do you know who I think's going to be super motivated today? Is Lars van der Haar, Jeremy. The Van der Haar
Absolutely.
household, Lucy, Lars's wife, taking a phenomenal victory, I think, in the UAE Tour last week. So I think he's going to want to keep up there and potentially bring some more success back to that today. Tom Mayusen, as Jeremy said, there is the rider that could suit today. This real BMXy type of track that we've got today. Dan Suter up there as well. Vinny Bastians. Toon Aerts has started well in a lot of races so far this season. We literally just get handed the final start list just in between the two races, the final list. So there are some names on there that on that list there that we might not see in action. But gotta say, looking at the course, Ellie Isabit as well. This is sort of looking at the way Isabit's ridden so far this season. This sort of course, those punchy little climbs that we've got today, it might be a day for him.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. There's quite a few riders on there. I think definitely Eli Iserbit is one that I think has got a good opportunity to do something here today. He's doing really, really well. Obviously last weekend taking the win on the second day of the weekend. He's been a rider that's been consistent all year, but definitely still has quite a bit of form left in his legs. So it's been really good to see him throughout the year. As we see here, we're getting some pictures. There he is, Tom Mayusen here on this course with a smile on his face, Marty. So maybe he heard about the GCN bump. And as he's there with his other teammates from the Hens Maze team. And then now you're seeing the Tormans riders coming in, everybody warming up. There are some hitters on this line, especially for a late season cyclocross race. There are some pretty good riders here, potentially some guys coming in to use a little bit of this end of the season cyclocross racing for some preseason road racing training, as we've gotten some of the riders now are starting to put out on social media their schedule for the upcoming season on the road. And you saw a rider there coming through with what was probably a little bit of Olbus oil up in their nose to be able to just kind of open up, get that nose opened up so that they can get a big gush of air coming in, and they're not no compromised breathing, no constriction. So an old school European trick to be able to get the nostrils opened up before you get out there and go super hard in the opening laps of the cross season. See a couple riders just checking out the finishing straight as they come in. They look behind there and just take a look at everything on the course as they warm up here. There's Eli Iserbit getting ready, talking with his teammate Michael van Tarnhout.
Yeah, they've made a great combo this season. Tom Mayusen's either smiling because he's heard that we're bigging him up, or he's thinking, GCN Racing, the curse of GCN. They haven't predicted I could win today, surely. But you never know. We'll see what he can do today. In terms of your Alpecin Fenix riders, so David van der Poel is here for Alpecin Fenix. No Mathieu van der Poel. He's already on the road. For those riders, Jeremy, that have done a full cross season, who are now going to sort of switch and step onto the road, kind of how much time do they generally take? Is it a couple of weeks? Is it 3 weeks? For most people.
Yeah, it's usually like, I would say in some cases it could be as much as 5 weeks. It's definitely a couple of weeks without a lot of big intensity. You want to make sure that you really do come down from all the hardcore racing. So I think that was at least what we did a lot of. We would come down, but it's changed so much. I can't say that I know exactly how the Europeans are structuring their season, taking some different breaks throughout the year to be able to come in and do the road season. There's a lot of different variations. I think some that hopefully in the coming weeks and months we're able to understand more of how these riders are preparing for their road seasons and how they're using periodization to be able to come into each of these seasons with good form and not be burnt out.
Yeah, and in terms of that, the riders might decide, ride through to the end of Paris-Roubaix, which is where most classics, those early season classics riders, take that first break of the season. So we'll see how this shift towards multidiscipline riding in men's pro cycling, at least, is going to pan out. Let's go down to the start. Don't forget, subscribe to GCN Racing. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell icon so that you're notified every time that we go live or upload a new video. And remember, just subscribing doesn't cost you anything. Just means you're just even more part of our beautiful cross community and cross family here on GCN Racing. It's been great to have you with us all winter long. This is that was our previous winners, just flashed up there quickly. So last year it was Toon Aerts from Tom Meyussen, and this man here, Lars van der Haar on the podium. Corne Van Kessel, Mathieu van der Poel. Toon Aerts won in 2016, Van der Poel 15, Sven Nys. Niels Albert, Sven Nys going all the way back to 2011. We are right down on the start line. Corne Van Kessel alongside Laurens Sweeck, Michael van Toornhout, Tom Meyussen. Is it a day for Tom Meyussen, as Jeremy was saying there? This is Thijs Aerts for Telenet Baloise Alliance. Watch the lights. We are nearly ready to rock and roll here. Our final race of the season here on GCN Racing in terms of our cyclocross coverage. Loads on the road coming up. The riders watching the lights here. Away we go for you British fans. It's that man there, number 28, Finn Mansfield, that you are watching out for today. You can just see him on the back of the group from Chero Cycle Division. Lars van der Haar, Toon Aerts getting a good start here as they're just battling it. Sander Leemans just coming up there from Akrog Tormans Balens. David van der Poel, Thijs Aerts it is that gets the whole shot through that first corner. Rider down as that Isabit's gone down on the first corner here. Eli Isabit is down and looks like he's gone down pretty heavy here. As Isabit let the lad sit there just for a moment. The man just trying to lift him up straight away. Does he just get caught on the inside? It does. Look at that. Eli Isabit goes down and looks like he's gone down pretty heavy there. That's a shame. Eli Isabit just picking himself up here for Poel, Sels and Big O, just giving himself a pat down. It's always good to do when you go down and you go down heavy like that for Eli. Oh, what a shame for someone that who's arguably been on form throughout the season. It's been great to watch him so far this season.
Yeah, it would have been a shame to have seen him be injured on the last race when they were coming into a period of rest that they really need. As you see some riders just jumping the entire section there, Marty, just bunny hopping that entire ditch to be able to keep their momentum without having to scrub any speed. Would have been a real bummer for someone like Isabit to be injured as they're coming into a period where they really need to have a lot of rest and recovery. To then have an injury like that would have been very unfortunate for him to have to recover from that injury instead of being able to actually enjoy a bit of all season. So it is nice to see that crash did not take too much out of him, that he's able to get back up and continue on. And whether or not he gets into the you see a rider here on this section. We saw Anna Marie Worst also have again down. Unfortunately, it does not look like it is Meyussen, but
no,
perhaps
like
it is. But
Bastions
just having a problem there trying to get through that section. Unfortunately, 2 falls. When it rains, it pours. In this case, Marty.
Oof, went over. You saw him go over. We'll just have a replay of. I think it's Vincent Bastions that's there. Just hips over the top of that one. Unfortunately, the barrier there just falls through the netting. And goes down again when he just tries to get back on the course. There it's Lander Locks, actually, of Group Hens Mass Containers. That was, as you said, it doesn't rain, but it pours.
Oh, man, but then he took out Michael Van Toornhout. Van Toornhout having a couple of words there for him as he come through. Man, oh, man, what the day that was to start out there for Lander Locks. Unfortunately, not on the right foot, comes over the barrier, and then tries to come back into the course, but unfortunately grabs his foot there on that fencing, and then that takes him down. He goes into the back of Michael Van Toornhout. Just glad it wasn't worse. Everyone's on their way as we see Van der Haar now coming through these first laps. First lap at race pace is always intense, Marty, as you come through these sections. You know from warming up on them what it's going to be like in racing in them the years previously, but when you do it at race pace, it always is a little bit of coming to, you have to come to the terms with how fast it's going to be. As we see here, it's Thijs Aerts, and then behind it, David van der Poel and Toon Aerts right behind him. Now we're getting a picture of Laurens Laurent Swick coming into this very steep section here on the backside of this course here in Leuven.
It is indeed. Niels van der Putter is the other Alpecin Fenix rider in the blue that you can see, just kicking it out of that corner. There's Toon Aerts there. Thijs Aerts, who's on the front. We've seen him do this a few times this season. Hasn't quite had that endurance to be able to hold it for the full hour. Will it be a good day for him today? Tom Meusen, Lars van der Haar, your next riders on the course here. Van der Haar from the Telenet Baloise Alliance, but van der Putter as well, the rider here, fourth in line in the blue, has had some good races in the last few weeks. Elie's a bit just now. He's got to try and pick his way back through the field. Just cracking on here, just trying to close down as many gaps as he can. You can see how steep this this sort of rhythm section, the whoops, little, as we said, it's a little tabletop that looks like through that section. Time to get out on the cross bike on the pump track in the off season as they go into the planks. Van der Haar off and running.
Here's Thijs Aerts still on the front with his brother Toon Aerts. This is probably a nice moment for them. They probably train together often. We see it on Sven Nys's Instagram that these riders from the Telenet Baloise program are putting things together. But even the men having to come into this first section, you can see it in the women's race, but also in the men's race. You know, this is not something that they train for all the time. Huge whoops like this back to back. But there is Toon Aerts playing the teammate and brother card, letting a little gap roll for his brother to be able to take a nice bit here in the front. And there it is, the rider that I was talking about. Tom Meusen wearing number 10 and trying to stick onto the back of this chase group here as they get into this opening ferocious pace here in Leuven.
It is indeed. Van der Haar just off the back of that little group. Alejandro Lorente, Miguel, just asking where is Felipe Aerts. He was on the pre-start list, but he's not on the final start list. Tell you what, check out, if you want to see the skills of Felipe Aerts, check out his social media post this week of him bouncing onto the rollers. It was, yeah, quite something. He's a real skillful rider. Thijs Aerts is your leader though, wearing number 13 and starting to open a good little gap here. Has a glance across, does the younger brother as he kicks on here these days for riders like this. David van der Poel has a look around. Toon Aerts, Niels van der Putter, Tom Meusen, Lars van der Haar, Michael van Toornhout, Jim Arnout, Corne Van Kessel and Vincent Bastians, it looks like, is your order through that section. And I think that's Nicolas Kleppe just ahead of Jens Adams. There's Corne just going through. It is Vincent Bastians that goes through, and it is Nicolas Kleppe that goes through. Lander Lotz has recovered, which is good to see. And then this Tormann's colours. This is I think the development team for that program. And we're just keeping an eye on where Elie Iserbyt is here. These are the days Laurent Swick and Dan Suter, a bit further back than we would expect for them as well. If Elie can get himself back up towards the front, these are the days that the champions and legends are made, isn't it?
And definitely, as we see here now, it's Michael van Toornhout trying to get to the front of this big chase group as it's Thijs Aerts off the front. But Toon Aerts trying to get up there to see if he can just bring the pace down just a little bit, play the team tactics card here. They're definitely racing today, Marty. This isn't a giveaway race by any stretch. There's definitely some team tactics going on, and I know what card that Toon Aerts is trying to play for his brother as his brother shoots off the front here. Toon Aerts trying to just get in the front just to slow things down, but Michael van Toornhout is not having any of it. Sees an opportunity here to put himself up on the blocks now that his team leaders Laurent Swick and Elie Iserbyt are not in the mix. A lot of big riders in this team. Michael van Toornhout maybe seeing an opportunity for himself here to take a late season victory in Leuven.
Indeed, Poel Salzen being goal, just trying to interrupt the team tactics here of Telenet Baloise Alliance. How many times this season we saw this man do the job for his older brother in races to try and bring him back through towards the front of races. He's a former under-23 national champion of Belgium, is Thijs Aerts on a couple of occasions, and of course world junior champion back in Hoogerheide in 2014, so he might be the younger brother, but you don't win those races, Jeremy, without being a class act.
No, you definitely do not. You definitely do not. And now we're seeing the riders come through. Toon Aerts coming into this technical section. Does not look much on TV, but you can see that it just, the shelf drops into that right, wherever that Willie Nelson's group sign is. Seeing quite a few riders just having trouble there. There's some undulating ground there, a very unique kind of uphill, off-cambered turn. So it's definitely throwing some riders for a loop, especially as the pace has kicked up in these races and in the opening lap where it kind of, that is the bottleneck, as we would call it. And it just starts to really kind of take riders by surprise, I think, when they hit it at race pace. But here it is, Toon Aerts coming into this section. Hey, that was a quick kind of throw the bike out from underneath you, come through and just get back on. Not a lot of time lost there. It was a good save, but definitely one of those sections that you're going to want to be able to nail time and time again as you come in, because it really is all about momentum through here as these riders carve this section up and really dice this tricky up-down section here in Leuven.
Indeed, this chasing group, those are the little errors that can sometimes creep in to Toon Aerts' racing, as we've seen. But these are the days. Jeremy, when you've won the races that Thijs has won as an under 23 and as a junior, it's all about that apprenticeship, isn't it? You step up in terms of elite victories, and as a pro, you know that you kind of almost not wipe the slate clean, but you then start to build the next career, and as an elite, very different to your under 23s.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're different. They're just completely different things. You know, I think, under 23s, the reason that these categories exist, Marty, is because every rider, you know, develops at a different point in their life. And you know, they hit different maturity points. They hit different places. So, you know, there's some riders that are 15 that they look like they're 20, you know, and then there's some riders that are 20 that look like they're 15. And so for each of these people, there's different tools in place, like these essentially the categories, excuse me, are what these riders really do benefit from, as we see two riders coming in here for some bikes to change out maybe some mechanical issues going on for those riders. But yeah, I mean, that's why some riders hang out in the under 23s longer than others. That's why some riders are able to jump straight into the pros. There isn't a rhyme or a reason. It's all genetics, and yeah, that's what's beautiful about the sport, is that for some riders it takes a little bit longer to develop. One thing doesn't, if you're 20 years old and you're doing well in the under 23s, well, the next season you might have a big growth spurt and you might be up there and race at the front of the pros. You can never say anything about someone's development cycle, but definitely Aerts has got a great pedigree. His brother's shown that he's a very classy rider. They both have great demeanors to them. I've chatted with both of them over the years, and I've always enjoyed having conversations with them. I think that they're definitely they're professionals. They live for it. And just talking with Toon Aerts on the podcast earlier this year, Marty, there is definitely a big family bond amongst these two and their family each weekend at the races. And I think today is a nice example of how that sometimes plays out, and is probably super fun for them.
Michael Vantoren out, closes the gap, brings this group back together. Toon Aerts right on the wheel, right up there. Here comes Lars van der Haar, just trying to get on to the back of the group. So it brings it all together. Early attack there by Toon Aerts. Niels van der Putte is the rider there in the blue from Alpecin Fenix. So this is your front group now. Michael Vantoren out, Jeremy, for me. He just carried some nice speed through that BMX section. This is your chasing group. Arne Outs, Van Kessel, David van der Poel, and Bastians is your chase group. For me, Vantoren out just carried good speed. He really rode that pump track really nicely.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely, he's got a nice long machine. He's got a big bike, so there's going to be some advantages potentially there. And also hitting them at a small angle. It really is like, how do you feel most comfortable? You've got maybe a earlier career in BMX, something like that. It's just about how you come into those sections and having the confidence to be able to sort of just send it. You know what I mean? You want to be able to get at a little bit of an angle so that you're not just trying to go straight over the top of them. We saw in the women's race, Sanne Cant unfortunately got a little bit cockeyed on the 3 to go on those whoops, and then just wasn't able to get her pedal back in and kind of had to do damage control through that. So you definitely want to be confident in it. You want to make sure that you've got your rhythm right. You want to make sure that you pace it right. And truthfully, for someone that's had any experience on these, you really want to push that front wheel down to be able to get that bike down again instead of kind of wheeling over the top now. As we see here is Toon Aerts finally putting his first dig on the front. But as you said, Marty, Van der Haar coming out to the front and really showing his colors that the after Worlds, Van der Haar has been super strong here as he makes his way up into the front of this group.
Do you know what makes you really, really old? It's when you look at Niels van der Putte and he's up here at the front, Elite Pro Race. Born on the 19th of September 2000. I know we're in 2020 now, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's the year that I graduated from high school, 2001. So yes, I'll give you that. That's when they were born. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah, good rider. And this is your chasers. Still very much all together here. Still all to play for. Very, very close racing through these various groups here. Where is Ellie Isabit? We'll get an idea. Again, when someone like Ellie, it looks like him coming around that corner now. When someone like Ellie has an issue, this is when you you say to the TV director, because you've got Swake, Suter, Isabit behind. I wish the director would do this more often, go just all the way down the field as well, because I know we're always getting asked, where's so-and-so, where's so-and-so, and a lot of the time they just concentrate on the front of the race.
Yeah, it is cool to see the back of the race, but unfortunately, Mayusin off the pace there now in the back, and I'm not sure what happened there, picking up with Lauren Swick. So definitely had a mechanical issue or something has gone wrong for Mayusin. We saw him up in the front group there, but unfortunately he vanished. So now it is this chase group here, about 5 riders, 3 riders up front, 2 just dangling on there. So we've got about a 5-rider collaboration happening here at the front, and each of the teams are represented. We've got Alpecin Fenix, we've got Telenet Balawasa, and we've got the Palo Southern Bingo program all up on the front here. And now we're getting a picture of Eli Easterbit kind of coming through the back of this field, number 3, not giving up, deciding to ride this one as a training race and to put on a little bit of a show for his fans that have come out to see him go for it today.
Michael Van Toren out on the front here for Pau Southern Bingo, followed by Toon Aerts, Lars van der Haar, Thijs Aerts and Niels van der Putte. That is your order of your leading group. The chasing groups are behind and not far away. You can see them just kicking it over the top of that section there. Corne Van Kessel leading Jim Arnouts, David van der Poel and Tom Mayusin is the next order of this group. I think this chasing group is going to get back up to the front here, Jeremy.
Yeah, I do too. I think that they're definitely going to come back and all going to come together. And that's good racing for the end of the year to have such a big group. You know, that means that maybe the opening lap wasn't as hot as they have been in the other races, especially when you see someone like Van der Poel come in and really annihilate those first laps. It makes it almost impossible for anyone to get on terms with them. But some of these riders, like I said, coming in at different levels of fitness right now and determination. So it's good to see here Corne Van Kessel getting back up on a little bit of a carrot. You can see those riders right in front of them. There is a gap there, but definitely still in this race. So being able to sew up that gap and bring it all back together on one of these start-finish straights is going to be it's definitely going to play into this race here today.
Niels van der Putte on the back. He's had a good season in the under-23 racing. He's won the Flandrian Cross in Hammer. He won in Koksijde. He won in Kortrijk in the under-23 race. Second in the national championships as an under-23 behind Toon van den Bosch and just ahead of Jelle Kamps as Swake goes through that section. Third in the GP Adrie van der Poel in Hogerheide, and then he won at the Cravatten Cross in Lille in an under-23. So good to see him up here and kicking it against the elites. Ellie Isabit, that first corner crash for the Pau Southern Bingo rider as Lars van der Haar now comes through to the front for Telenet Baloise Alliance. He goes left on the pump track, and Michael Van Toren out goes right, as we said coming into this. Van der Haar, my tip today, as his wife Lucy won in the week. Lars, can he take a second family celebration this week and then end his season with a victory? Potentially he runs the planks though. Van Toren out has a glance back. This chasing group being led by Jim Arnouts is actually Vinny Bastians that's in that group, I think, from just looking at that. So Vincent Bastians goes through, then David van der Poel. There's Corne Van Kessel just on the back.
As you see Michael Van Toren out now pushing the pace here on the front, everybody trying to get there as he saw this group about to swell, decided that that wasn't going to be the play for the day for him. Now Van der Haar chasing hard, trying to keep this group pinned up together, but having a great ride today. Vincent Bastiens, the Belgian rider, often comes over to the United States. He has family here, so we do have a little bit of a hello, how's it going? He's done some racing here. We've had some good battles over the years with him in the United States. Great to see him making that back section of that front group, Marty.
Is indeed Van Toren out kicking it on at the front here. It's a solid season for Michael Van Toren out. Toon Aerts goes through. There's Vinny Bastians going through just ahead of David van der Poel. Lots of you going for Toon Aerts for the victory today. Get your predictions in. This is our final live cross of the winter here on GCN Racing. Get your predictions in and let us know who you think out of this group is going to take the victory today. It's pretty open at the moment. You could choose any one of these groups. Could it be a first big elite victory for the Alpecin Phoenix rider there, Niels van der Putte? This is David van der Poel just going ahead in here, just ahead of Jim Arnouts. As Thijs Arnts is going to come back through to the front again, tries another testing attack.
Telling that Balawaza team with the numbers today here, Marty, going to try to keep the pace of this one really high, because that will benefit them. They've got quite a few riders in that front group able to go, and now you see, boom, open it up. It's Toon Aerts taking a big dig. This is the biggest attack that we've seen today, and now Toon Aerts really saying, hey, I'm going to race from the beginning of the season all the way to the end, and he's going to make it stick. Looking back at Michael Van Toren, seeing who's going to pick this up. Definitely not going to get Lars van der Haar to chase down his teammate after he put in that effort. And so Michael Van Toren right on him, though, able to bring him down and sit on the back there, as we see another rider from the Telenet Balawaza team. Looks like to be Jim Arnouts trying to get back on with David van der Poel right behind him.
Indeed, here comes Jens Adams, the next rider. This is the point now as we go into this fourth lap for Toon Aerts. When we start to see these testing attacks from Toon Aerts, he let his brother have his moment. Jens Adams going through ahead of Nicholas Kleppe. Corne Van Kessel looks like he's thrown the anchor out here, Corne Van Kessel.
Unfortunately, like we said, Marty, there are some days that you get out there and you say, I'm going for it. And there are some days where it is just, you're just going through the paces and the legs are not there and they're not ready to fire. Corne Van Kessel had one of his best seasons of date. He was in the mix so hard at every single time we saw him race, all the way up into the World Championship. So, yeah, decided that he might get picked up by this group of hitters here that has Lawrence Sweck, Dan Soot, looks to be Tom Mayusen and some of the others. So looking to get absorbed by that group and then just kind of get into it and have a day of riding around. Not going to be in it for the win today, unfortunately. The legs are just not right. The feeling, the sensation, the coffee, maybe an illness, who knows. But Eli Easterbit here coming back up, definitely putting together a day that he can be happy with. I mean, only a minute 30 down after giving away that time at the beginning. He'll have some solid lap times, and he was just out there showing that he's not injured, that he wants to make sure he puts on a good show for his fans that have come out, as we see them making their way through this very technical section. This very cool shot that we get of these riders as they come in through here. You can hear the gears just popping. They have to get back up to speed because they've lost and had to scrub so much through that section. They got to get right back up to speed here.
They are indeed. And Michael Larson saying Van der Putte is going to take the win. Wow, that's a good prediction. Looking at the under-23 races, the man there in the navy blue with the red, I don't think that's a bad bet there, Michael. I think that could be a good one. And for Jeremy, I think we're in that. I always think we're in such a privileged position when we see riders, whether someone like Thijs Arnts could take a win or Niels van der Putte here, to see these breakthrough victories, these emerging wins for young riders like that.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to see new blood. We want to see new riders at the front of these races really pushing it. But I just love when the riders are so hungry. They're young, they're so hungry. They want this. They want to make a career of this. They want to put their name up on the television screen. They want the announcers to be talking about them. That is how you get noticed. That's the vehicle to the top that we have established here at cyclocross. So it's great to see these riders really put themselves up there, and a name like Niels van der Putte, who, I think is a strong name for the future. It's great to see him up in the front group, and if we were able to take a win today, honestly, even if he was able to be up on the podium, I think that would be a really great opportunity for him to start that process of putting himself up there in the elite ranks. It's a nice race at the end of the season to be able to get up, race with the elite riders, and hit the front group. So great to see him on a good day today.
Yeah, definitely. 7th in the World Championships, then that win on the DVV Trophy, the Cravath and Cross in Lille on the 8th of February. Can that man there just in the blue, would benefit from his teammate as Lars van der Haar. It's another testing attack in here for Telenet Baloise. And Lars van der Haar, would say so far throughout the season has really started to look like the Lars van der Haar of old. When you look at the age of the riders in here, it's almost Lars is almost becoming the sort of elder statesman of the group now, even at his tender years.
Yeah, he is definitely, but he's got the experience, which is what matters here. He's able to use that small frame to come through this whoop section, really push the bike down on the front. He's got great hand-eye coordination balance. He jumps off the bike, boom, no time lost as he's right back on the machine, back up to speed. Michael Van Toornhout checking up, looking over his shoulder, making sure that Toon Aerts not trying to lose Van der Haar's wheel here to Toon Aerts. Aerts comes on the inside of Michael Van Toornhout to try to get in front of him in these whoop sections so that he can give his friend, Lars Van der Haar, a little bit of space here between them. Now you see he slots in. Good opportunity for him to open a small gap. He probably mentions to Van der Haar, I'm right behind you. Michael Van Toornhout not happy with that, trying to come in on the inside. So a lot of back and forth here at the front, Marty. You can see that the riders are not comfortable being off the front because there's a lot of yo-yoing, a lot of really fast-paced riding here happening at the front, and Michael Van Toornhout doesn't want to be a victim of a Telenet Baloise hit squad today here at the front of this race.
Definitely not. Lars van der Haar, twice World Under-23 cyclocross champion. He's been European champion, a hugely successful rider over the years. Has Lars van der Haar, just 28 years old. Vincent Bastian's just on the back of the group. Jim Arnouts dragging David van der Poel back into contention in this one. So your teams, Paushausen, Bingo, Group Hens, Mass are all up here. Alpecin, Phoenix and Telenet Baloise Alliance. So plenty of teams represented. Adams, Klepe, just going through your picture. Van der Haar has a glance back at the group just to see where they are. So they're going to get some reinforcements, I think, quite soon in the form of Jim Arnouts. It's definitely still anyone's game at this stage of the race. Elise, a bit if you're just tuning in and you missed the start of our race today, Elise a bit crashing on that first corner and going down a minute and a half off the pace here at the moment. Bit of a shout out, Cameron Mason, who's on the chat. Give a big shout out to Cameron Mason. I'm sure if you've been with us over the last couple of seasons here on GCN Racing, you will have seen Cameron Mason go from heading down with his Enduro with himself and his dad last winter, and then being picked up by Trinity Racing this winter, and had some phenomenal results this season. Great to see Cameron on our chat as well. Thanks for getting on board. Check out Cameron's vlogs. They're always very, very entertaining, as are the Trinity Racing team ones as well. So great to have you on board with us today, Cameron. Thanks for checking in. Jenti Bacart here, just going through for Telenet Baloise, and I'm sure a lot of you will be pleased as well to be able to see that the TV director, because the likes of Elise a little bit further down the race today, that they're giving us a bit of a pan of the whole field here today. But your leading group still very much together as they go through that section.
I see Lauren Sweck here, not maybe a little too much partying after the big win last week in up in Middelkerke, taking that big $30,000 check, winning the overall there. And we see now Michael Van Tornhout really coming into this one, Marty. Got a lot of speed, jumping that entire section, deciding that this is where he wants to lay down a big attack, really just digging. You can see the intensity on his face as he sees that he's got a couple of these riders caught out potentially. Toon Aerts now trying to pick it up, but it's Toon Aerts that's been maybe cut off on the back foot a little bit on this attack that Michael Van Tornhout's been putting out. So now we've got someone that's finally laid an attack down and wants to make it stick, and it's Michael Van Tornhout as he comes into this very technical section, right up, very high line. Toon Aerts trying to pin him back. Michael Van Tornhout, again, laying down a big attack here through that section as they come into this very technical section with a lot of speed changes, and they come into those 180s on the backside of the course here, Marty.
Yeah, this good long shot there. There's Eliasabeth going through. Just lost a little bit of time. Tom Mayusen just perhaps showing the effect of a long season. That's my sign on the. There's Lindsay and Tim there on the side of the course there.
I think we're gonna need to. I think we're gonna need to start to promote this as a thing. We love seeing that. It's super cool. And some of the directors that are running these TVs are also probably having a chuckle for themselves. But you see Toon Aerts, they're getting a little bit wide on that as Van Tornhout pushes the pace here. Toon Aerts trying to get on terms with this pace. Really, Michael Van Tornhout looking back, really lifted it, just seeing what's going on. Not sure exactly what's happening there with Michael Van Tornhout, why he's taking a look back. He was so focused on what he was doing earlier and the damage that he was putting out, but he's taken a look back, really slowed it down there and almost did a little bit of a juke there. Just really came into this with a big power section. Apparently not going to stick that attack, not going to string it all together as this group comes back, Marty.
Let's have a little replay of that one. Just again, running that section, just a little dab there for Michael Van Tornhout. Just kind of comes to a halt as a glance back just to see if he's managed to maintain it. He hasn't. Toon Aerts now advantage to the Telenet Baloise rider. Toon Aerts at the front. Niels van der Putte doing the right thing here, just marshalling the group, managing the group, and keeping an eye on everyone. Two riders at the head of the race, just trying to open up a slight gap now over Jim Arnout, Toon Aerts rather, and Lars van der Haas. So Telenet Baloise are very much in control of this group. Just a couple of shout outs on Twitter. George B, thanks for getting on board. Neil Mansfield, thanks for checking. Hi, Finn and Lotta Mansfield have really done some great races so far this year. Wessex Cyclo-cross League, hopefully I might get some time to go and ride my local cross league next winter. Pompey Owl, thanks for saying hi on Twitter as well. This is your group. Arts, Van Tornhout, Van der Haar, Van der Poel, Thijs Art, Niels van der Putte. They're all still there. Phil Lavoie, thanks for saying hi, Phil, over on Twitter as well. Good to get all of your feedback. I'm glad you've enjoyed our winter's racing here on GCN Racing. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up on our live broadcast today. That all helps with that interweb jiggery pokery that we need, as well as make sure that you subscribe to the channel as well. That all helps. As I said, I'm back next weekend with the women's Omloop Het Nieuwsblad, one of my favourite races of the year, so watch out for that on your schedule for next Saturday. Loads coming up. We've got a daily roundup of the UAE tour as well, and we've got the Omloop Het Nieuwsblad presentation next Saturday. We'll be streaming that one, so keep an eye on that. If you hit that bell icon and that subscribe button, you'll get notified. Arts and Van Tornhout opening a gap now over Lars van der Haar and Niels van der Putte. Looking good here at the front. Toon Aerts looking to finish the season with a bang.
As we see now, Van der Haar trying to get there, trying to get on terms with this pace that's being set now by his teammate Toon Aerts. Definitely not looking to do any work to create the to kind of discount what Toon Aerts is doing on the front. He's chasing solo, so teammates wise, that's going to be totally fine to do. You know, he's not pulling a big group up with him. He's just doing the work that he needs to do to be able to stay in this race. As Toon Aerts looks back at Michael Van Tornhout, now they're working together. Now there's a cohesion here at the front, and Van der Haar is going to be looking to Niels van der Putte to be able to kind of come in here and pull up this. And Van der Putte is saying, no chance, I can't do it right now. Think about who you're talking to. And so it's going to be it's going to be the veteran Lars van der Haar that's going to need to take up the chase. But unfortunately, from a team tactics standpoint, that's not going to be the best look. But Van der Haar knows what he's got himself into. He's happy to do the work and pin this one back together to make a group of four.
Oh, Vincent Bastien goes over the top there. Just misjudged that ditch totally there.
Unfortunately, yeah. Vinny Baston's having a big season this year, taking the win. If you remember way back here in the United States, first opening race of the season, took that win in Rochester as a C1 race, and then did really well at the Elite C1 at Jingle Cross as well. And then won the EKZ in Aigle, won the Toy Toy Cup in Slani, I believe that is pronounced, and then also taking a race down in Italy called the cyclo-cross del Ponte. So so he's had some good races throughout the year, taking some wins at some of the smaller category ones around the globe, but a rider that has a ton of experience, like I said, that I've raced with over the years and got to know real well. So good to see him having a good race here today. Unfortunately, it looks like a little bit of a broken shifter there on that one, so he's going to need to get a bike change. Not going to be able to shift that rear derailleur, so he's going to be in that gear for a little bit until he's able to get into the pits and get a bike change.
Didn't manage to ride that groove there, just hit the wrong line totally there, Vincent Bastians, and went down. Your two leaders, Toon Aerts and Michael Van Turenhout, a little advantage over Lars van der Haar. Niels van der Putte, though, maybe looking just slightly cooked for the Alpecin Phoenix team. This is the difference, isn't it, Jeremy, at this point, when you get into this point of the race, the full hour at this sort of intensity, is the sort of first sort of milestone that you feel that you need to reach when you go from U23 to elite. I mean, God, you completely disservice it because he's still riding in fourth, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. He's definitely, I mean, there is a little bit of a pace difference. There's a little bit of a, there's a higher tempo. There's a higher turning speed. I think that the races, they tend to go a little bit quicker in the pros. Just overall, if you look at the speed of the top under 23s, and then you were to slide those lap times into the pro race, you usually see somewhere between 10th and 20th place for the front runners, as we see here, Vinny Bastings having to get that bike changed. The mechanic's going to be looking at that and realizing that that's just going to be put in the trailer, and that hopefully Vincent doesn't need another bike, although I'm sure he's got several machines on hand in case he needs one. He's having a great ride today, so hopefully he does not have any more issues, able to get himself back up in the front there. But I think that for the under 23 men, when they start the race in the pros, they see that the length of the race has gone up by about 10 to 15 minutes, depending. And then there's also the pace and the way that the races are raced. As you see, Van der Haar able to come across that group, which says good things for the outcome of this race for him. He's going to be really happy with that effort to be able to come across to his teammate Toon Aerts and the leader right now, Michael Van Turenhout. But also for the under 23s, just to end that, Marty, I think that there's also just the style of the racing. The attacks are a little bit more vicious, and there's 5 or 6 guys that can do them. Whereas in the under 23s, it's usually a smaller group of riders that have that same power profile and are able to put it all together. So you typically see that the under 23 field just a little bit thinner, but this is the pros. This is the highest level of the sport. So you have so many riders at a good level that are able to attack, and then another one's able to attack, and so on and so forth. So it really does overall just paint a picture of this is the best racers in the world. So congrats to Van der Putte for being in that front group, for making it, and for things to come for him.
Indeed, Michael Van Turenhout back to the front, and Eli Isabitz called it a day here as went down on that first corner early on. It looks like he's given himself a bit of a whack, kept going for as long as he could here, and that first corner. So that's a shame. Eli Isabitz has decided to call it a day today. You have 3 leaders. Lars van der Haar, now they're going to go 1-2. This is now the Telenet Bauer's team. They can now double team here on the Poel Sels and bingo rider. Then one attacks, then the other one attacks. So it's really his advantage to this team. So good to see this combination at the front.
Definitely, as you see Van der Haar come into this section, boom, on the whoops, you saying that you saw Michael Van Turenhout looking very good on this, trying to get outside of behind Van der Haar, so in case there are any issues, he's able to be free and clear. Aerts there on the back, and then it's Niels van der Putte there in 4th place, chasing to try to get back on this. The under 23 rider that was 7th at the World Championships, trying to come back to this front group, ride his own race, ride his own pace, as we see Van der Haar off the bike, boom. Don't think that that's going to affect him later in the race. It does not seem that it's so much faster for Michael Van Toornhout and Toon Aerts. As you see, Van der Haar still on the front here, and they come in. Now they're going to be checking up and seeing where are these riders, where is someone better than the other one. Just like we saw in the women's race, they're going to be taking notes and thinking about where the attack's going to come. We saw Michael Van Toornhout open it up last time in just after the start finish there, coming into those tricky 180 sections. Really, it's going to be, Marty, in my opinion, someone that can string that together and then hang on and keep the pace high all the way throughout that lap, and that's going to be what breaks this rubber band and breaks this group up. But we see Van der Haar now taking a swing at this here in the front on this race here in Leuven.
So this front group, Lars Van der Haar, 1 win this winter. Michael Van Toornhout has had 2 wins, and Toon Aerts behind them has had, from counting, 3 victories so far this season. Toon Aerts, multiple podiums so far since the turn of the year as well, the man on the back of the group. This would be a good way to finish off the season with a victory here in the GP Leuven. It's Lars Van der Haar leading out. Van Toornhout is there. It looks like the winner from this race is going to come from this group. Niels van der Putte has put in a sterling performance, who's sitting in 4th, just comes out of that corner. You can see that he's constantly as well, just sort of sitting up, just stretching his back out. My order, I'll just double check the last order that we had. I've just got the top 8 here. So Toon Aerts, Van Toornhout, Van der Haar, Van der Putte, Thijs Aerts with David van der Poel. There's the next, I think, yep, Thijs Aerts and David van der Poel going through. Then I had Jim Arnouts and Vincent Bastien. So I'll try and get you the full top 10 when we current full top 10 when we go through. The wind goes out of the sails of this group, though. You can see Michael Van Toornhout just had a little glance across at the group. This might allow. Will it allow Van der Putte to come back up towards the front of the race? We are now on lap 6 of 9. There's Van der Putte, just got to keep time trialing his way through here. The man from Alpecin Fenix. So 38.42, they go through the line this time. The clock is ticking, probably going to be around the 12-13 second mark for Niels van der Putte when he goes through. It's going to click over, just closer to about 15 seconds there. They're on lap 7 of 9 now. There's David van der Poel, Thijs Aerts, as the camera just clicks away.
As we see Van der Haar here slicing through this one, he's going to be really excited to be able to report back. A lot of success in the family of the Van der Haars right now. Lucy Gardner also now Lucy Van der Haar taking that win at the Women's UAE Tour. She was very excited about that. Just a huge smile of elation there at being able to take that road stage race. Opening up her season in a big way. Van der Haar's got to be feeling the energy from that and the excitement. So she's going to be watching from wherever she is right now, seeing that her husband is tearing it up here at one of the final weekends of the cross season and putting on a show for everybody. So they're going to all have something to celebrate at the end of this one.
They are indeed. As your chasing group, Dan Suter still in that group with Laurent Swake. Van der Haar looking good at the front. This is a good situation for the Telenet Baloise Alliance riders. But for Michael Van Toornhout, if he can take the scalp as Niels van der Putte just leaps the gap there for the Alpecin Fenix rider. Leaps that section onto this one. I like this camera angle of this section. It's a real sweeping, flowing little section, this one.
Yeah, really fast section here, and there's just a big change. You can see that the rubber band there, it's not a place where you want to be on the back if someone's laying down a lot of power. It does come back together as they come into this next section here, but they get back up to speed on that road section. You can see Van der Haar, whoa, coming through fast, jumping that, but then it's Michael Van Toornhout and Toon Aerts really using those skills to be able to jump that section. But it's this section here where you need a lot of power, and it is Van der Haar on the front, easily able to get over that, push that big gear right up to the top, then fly down this back section, and then they've got another one. But this section's so cool, Marty. You really have one line through here, but you use the banks of the embankments there to be able to get a little bit sideways in the turn. Then you got to pick your speed back up, shift, boom, 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 right back up, and you can see Van der Haar able to ride it, but Michael Van Toornhout and Toon Aerts not taking any chances. This is that thing where it's just 1 second, 2 seconds here that's going to start to add up over the course of the race. Van der Haar able to navigate this section clean, then boom, it's this section. Again, you have to go up this very, very steep embankment. It's a real treat for the fans to be able to see their favorite riders come into these sections and get a couple of times, one after the other, to be able to cheer from them and yell at the top of your lungs.
Few meters to gap just over Toon Aerts there. Lars van der Haar really attacking these sections. Aerts is trying to find his way back up to the two leaders. Michael van Turenhout, a lot of love for Michael van Turenhout going over on the chat. Pescataria just going for Michael there. So keep your race predictions coming in today.
Van der Haar flying the Yes, exactly. You can hear the band there, keeping everybody's spirits high. As you see Van der Haar there, it's got the stripes of being previous Dutch national champion, and then on the back of the group there is Toon Aerts with the stripes of the Belgian national championship that he won last year. Not taking a jersey this year, but riding one of his best seasons, taking quite a few victories over the years, but really not missing the podium. I think he's now up to maybe 31 podiums for the season. So he's definitely shown himself to be one of the most consistent and reliable riders on the circuit. Through injury, through illness, he's been able to show up every weekend and ride from the beginning to the end. That's what Sven Nys is going to be happy about. The team owner of the Telenet Balawaza team, an incredible career racer himself, is going to be happy to see that his riders show up from the first week to the last week, and they want to race and they're hungry every day in, day out. That is a sign, Marty, of a true professional rider, one that shows up no matter what the circumstances is, no matter if the series is there. If there's a race, they show up and they want to race 100%.
Looking at this, because Lars, as we always say, doesn't lose a lot of time onto when he runs the planks. Out of everybody, he's the one running the planks, as Niels van der Putter is about to get his teammate David van der Poel and Thijs Aerts for company. Going into the last laps of this race, is it a risk for Lars van der Haar? Will he potentially, if he comes down to this group and Van Turenhout start pushing it through there, is that where he could potentially, you think, lose this one by running rather than riding those planks?
Just based off of what we saw in Lille when we saw maybe 2 weeks back, Van der Haar in the last lap surged to the front to make sure that he was able to be there first through those planks. In case there was going to be a 1 or 2 second loss, he was able to mitigate that by being on the front. So I think Van der Haar knows how to play with, bet on his strengths. He's not looking at something and saying, hey, I'm not good at that. He's saying, this is what I can do good. And he's been successful with it. He's won a lot of races over the years. So I don't think that he's got any stress about what he feels comfortable with. And I think the other riders might see a little bit of a chink in his armor there, but they know that that's probably not going to be the thing that ends up making the race stick or not stick. So now it's going to be up to Michael van Turenhout. Nope, Toon Aerts is going to take over the pacemaking here on this windy start-finish straight.
Does he run diagonally across them as well? Run interference across the planks. Just go diagonal. Ryan Trebon over on the chat on YouTube. Thanks for joining us, Ryan. He's going for Lars van der Haar for the win. Scott Larson, a lot of love for Lars here today.
Definitely, yeah. Trebon and Van der Haar have famously done battle up in the Pacific Northeast here in the United States, Northwest, excuse me, over the years. Definitely some good battles and some good hang sessions with Lars when he would come over to the United States back when things were just going off, early season stuff. So Trebon definitely doing some battles. Good to see you checking in, buddy. Thanks for coming over and saying hi and hanging with us this morning.
Yeah, good to have you on board. So going through us, still our trio. David van der Poel is behind. We're on to lap 8 of 9. 2 to go here in this race. This is your gap. So Niels van der Putter, David van der Poel and Thijs Aerts are in this group. Niels looking absolutely cooked, isn't he, Niels? He did a great ride today. This is for Niels a good way to finish his season. This with the under 23 victories he's had so far this season. This is a good way to finish his season. He'll be happy with this ride today, Niels van der Putter.
Definitely a good effort, but this is usually when they're looking at the final couple minutes of their race. But unfortunately here he's got about 15 more minutes to go, something like that, as they come in 8 of 9 laps now down. But he's got quite a bit more racing to go here. As you see, Toon Aerts there coming up. This is a big, steep, man-made embankment here on this metal bridge. It's Toon Aerts now on the front. Marty, this is typically where we see Toon Aerts start to ratchet things up, start to really pick the pace up. He's got the front of the race. He's definitely looking at this as a potential potential opportunity to take another victory here throughout the year. Van der Haar going for that wide line, but they've got the team tactics card. But is Toon Aerts going to start to light this up in classic Toon Aerts fashion in the last 15 minutes of this one? Time will tell.
Nice leap there, leaping the gap there for Toon Aerts and Michael Van Torenhout. Just a little few meters lost there by Lars van der Haar. Back to your chasing group. Thijs Aerts locked in a battle here with the two Alpecin Fenix riders. If you're just getting on board, welcome to GCN Racing. Thanks for your company today and throughout our cyclocross season. This is the final of our live cyclocross broadcasts of the winter. Some of you asking about the single day race. I think it's in Osmala tomorrow, one of the races. Tomorrow, yeah, some of the single day races when they're not part of a series, and sort of TV rights is a complicated business. So yeah, we'll keep doing our best. If you keep subscribing, keep liking, keep giving the thumbs up and that kind of thing, it all helps with convincing the powers that be to help us secure as many races as possible. Van der Haar kicking on here to try and get back up to our two leaders. When they come round next time, they will get the bell. It's Toon Aerts and Michael Van Torenhout now with just a few meters advantage over Lars van der Haar. But Toon Aerts, this is where we know he comes into his own, when he starts to light the fire and really kick on. As Van der Haar, a little dab of the foot there by Van der Haar. Look at the pace. The shift in pace here at the front now, Jeremy, is visible from Toon Aerts.
Definitely it is, and you can see now that is Van der Haar that's gapped, and it's Toon Aerts that's really starting to push down just as expected. Marty definitely coming right in on time and able to push the pace a little bit. Unfortunately, dislodges Lars van der Haar. He comes into this section just a little bit crooked, has to lose that momentum, and now he's got to get off the bike. That is a steep section. We saw a lot of the women running that, saw a lot of the second group in the men's race also having to run that section, so it's not a easy ride. Although the men make it look that way, it is not. You see Aerts here using the entire course, really pushing the boundaries on where he can get traction, and now he can see that he's lost Lars van der Haar. Van der Haar wanting to get back up there. It'll be interesting to see if he's able to take one last dig to get back up on the terms to see that, or if he's going to keep a little bit in his legs for the final race of the season coming up here.
So where is it going to go today? Is it going to go to Toon Aerts? What a season. So Aerts on the podium all the way from the Jingle Cross in Iowa City. He won the Niels Albert Land Cross in Boom. He won in Zonhoven, that epic day in Zonhoven. He won the GP Marie de Klerk in Ronse. And then since the start of the season, his record so far this season as they go into that rhythm section, into that pump track, third at the National Championship, second in Nome, second at the GP Andra van der Poel in Hoogerode, third in the World Championship, third in the Park Cross in Mauderhem and in Lille. He was second in Middelkerke and third in Hulst. That is the order that Toon Aerts' podiums have gone. He hasn't had a victory since the turn of the year, so can he finish the season on a high and take a victory? Michael Van Torenhout will also want to do the same, taking advantage, you would say, today with his teammates Elisabeth crashing and retiring from the race. Laurent Sweeck a little bit further back in the race, but Van Torenhout pressing on at the front now for the Paushausen Bingo team. One in Vittel at the back end of 2019. He won in Merlebeeke as well in the Baron Cross back in Merlebeeke. That was one of his best performances of the season. Won that from his teammate Elisabeth with Toon Aerts in third on that occasion. Aerts gets back up to Van Torenhout, so that attack by Toon Aerts not managing to get rid of Michael Van Torenhout. Lars van der Haar, as you would expect now, is really gritting his teeth to try and get back up to those leaders. If he does, Jeremy, tactic, straight past.
Man, that's a tough one to call. I'd say that if Aerts isn't able to stick on to Michael Van Torenhout's wheel, that would be a miss on the team tactics front, because he has a teammate not far back, but Michael Van Torenhout now, you're going to see Toon Aerts, no, I'm not coming through. He knows that Michael Van Torenhout's got a lot of power in his legs. Van Torenhout's played this very, very coy. He's really been smart about where he's put his energy down, but he saw an opportunity to gap off Van der Haar, and then he did. And so now Toon Aerts has to match Michael Van Torenhout's accelerations, but if he's not able to, that's not going to look good for the Telenet Balawaza team. There's definitely some mano-a-mano stuff going on here at the front, but at the end of the day, he does have a teammate just meters off the back now, so he wants to play that team tactics card, and they can team up and beat Michael Van Tornhout, but they have to be in cohesion. They have to know what they're doing. They have to think that their teammates have to work together, even though it is such an individual sport. This is that opportunity where they come back together now. Van der Harp takes a big dig here. Gonna have to lay down one, and he might have played this just right, Marty. Didn't panic when he was gapped off, but was able to come back, and now he's going to be able to open up a gap here and see what he can do. Van Tornhout able to easily match that effort, but these are going to be the types of things as they come in with 1 to go, they're going to start to play out. Is it going to be Toon Aerts, or is it going to be Van der Harp that lifts the pace? This is Team Tactics 101 now.
Straight through Lars Van der Harp. He gets back on, kicks it past. Sometimes that's the best tactics. Toon Aerts now through to the front. Van Tornhout sandwiched in the middle. Van Tornhout now is going to try and go. Wants to be able to try and dictate this one on the final lap. It's Poel, Sels and Bingo from Telenet Balawaza in second and third. Van Tornhout on the front here. Lars Van der Harp puts himself back into contention as Toon Aerts now dive bombs Van Tornhout on that corner, shoulders out, wrestles his way back up to the front. We have got a battle on our hands here on the final lap here as Aerts puts down that power. Now we go back to the chasers. David van der Poel, Niels van der Putter, Thijs Aerts, Vincent Bastians and Jim Arnouts. That is the next order on the road.
And Michael Van Tornhout has made his way back to the front, and now Aerts digging. You can see the look on his face. He definitely is putting in all that he can to stick on Michael Van Tornhout's wheel. I have to say, Marty, Van Tornhout looks to be in very good form today. He looks like he's really got this course dialed, and this is the section where we saw him open it up last time. It's going to be on Van der Harp and Aerts to stick on his wheel and do everything that they can as they come through the pits. They're getting the screams from their mechanics to keep them up to date. Come on, push it, guys. Let's keep it here. Let's try for this win for the end of the season.
Van der Harp just gets distance again. Can he get back on? Michael Van Tornhout is pushing it at the front into this section where we saw riders have a little bit of an issue earlier on, and Van Tornhout, a little bit of a dab there for Van Tornhout on that section, as that allows Van der Harp just to come back. This is the next section though, Jeremy, that long road section and that kick up the banks.
Definitely, that was good for Van der Harp. That Michael had to put that foot down shows that there is a little bit of chink in his armor. Not riding it super clean, but he is in the front. This is that section where they have to get right back up to speed as we get a shot of Niels van der Putte here in the chase, but it's Michael Van Tornhout now. Van der Harp unfortunately gapped again in that section. I don't know if he's going to be able to come back and match that pace as they come up here through this section. Very steep. Michael Van Tornhout just checking up behind, looking back, seeing where it's at. But we see now he does not have Toon Aerts on the ropes yet. He's looking to see if there's any chinks in the armor, waiting for that moment when he hears something because he's pushing it as hard as he absolutely can, decides that he's going to take it easy, going to get off on this one, not try to ride it, but Van der Harp definitely taking it, saying, oh no, Van der Harp not able to make that, pushed it, but unable to do it, Marty.
No, that's the risk. That's the gamble you take. Van der Harp tried to ride that section. I think we've seen many riders do that today. Just loses a few meters. Van Tornhout's got the front. Aerts is matching him blow for blow here at the moment. Kicking it on. Van Tornhout still, I think at some point, he might have a glance back. It's a long finishing straight as well, Jeremy, if it comes down to a sprint. He's got to get rid of Toon Aerts here. He can't risk the sprint, I don't think.
He is. Aerts definitely feeling the burn of Michael Van Tornhout, but can Van Tornhout hold this? He's been going hard. He's laid some pretty big attacks out. He's definitely felt the team tactics of the Telenet Balawaza team here. Looking back, not able to keep the pace high, Marty. That's how I know that this isn't a good look for Michael Van Tornhout. He's laid down a lot of power, but he's not able to stick it. If we saw him stand up and put down another big attack, that would have put his stamp on this, but he's not able to. He's having to sit up. Van der Harp coming back to him. Definitely going to be an interesting last couple minutes of this one here.
Yeah, you've got to think at that point, okay, I've got to save something. That attack, it didn't manage to get rid of. Van der Harp gets onto the back of the group again. Van Tornhout not able to hold that full gas for that hold of that final lap there. Kicks back. You just saw him throw the anchor out through that section and really slow down. That's allowed Van der Harp to come back. So they're going to start looking around at each other. Looking at that finishing straight, you've got to be I would say you can do. Second out that first corner, potentially, as they come in. Lars van der Haar's going to have to run. And Van Toren out, you saw, just gives it a little dig there. Van der Haar loses the meters. That's the risk you take.
And Van der Haar, though, still continuing to dig, really to scrap along. That's what they call him. And he's just pushing it, trying his absolute best to be able to do that. The Dutch rider really digging here today, but not able to match it, but yo-yoing off the back throughout the race, able to lay some big attacks, lead, break some win, all of that, but just not able to match that last big acceleration from Michael Van Torenhout. So it's going to come down to Michael Van Torenhout and Toon Aerts, unless they play games, Marty, and then it could end up on the sprint on the sprint to have Van der Haar in there. This is going to be, you're going to come on the finish line. Could be 3 riders onto the finishing straight.
It could be Lars van der Haar having to burn a whole box of matches every time he tries to come back up to this front group. Is the powerhouse from Telenet Baloise Alliance going to get back on here? Aerts looks around. Van Torenhout does the same. Now the games of tactics and the games of cat and mouse will begin. Can Van der Haar get back on? Will he just go straight past this group as he gets back in yet again? Lars van der Haar on the ropes many times in this race, comes back again up to the front. It's still 3 riders at the front for the victory here. It's going to come down to who's got the strongest sprint. Van Torenhout on the front. Aerts glances back. Lars van der Haar is right there. The Telenet Baloise Alliance riders here, Jeremy, forcing Van Torenhout onto the front.
This is interesting. I have not seen something like this before. I would have expected Van Torenhout to lay an attack and to launch early, but he's bringing it down to the sprint finish. He must feel confident in that as he's got 2 Telenet Baloise riders there. Toon Aerts has been incredible in the sprints in the last couple of weeks, Marty, and he's able to especially at that race on Wednesday after the World Championships, able to squeak by and get on that podium. As really impressive sprint that he did there. And we're going to see again, here we go now, Toon Aerts launching an attack, and Van der Haar not going to be in good position to be able to do it, but he can see the finish line. Oh, no.
Toon Aerts has got the front. Michael Van Torenhout. Aerts, his foot goes. Michael Van Torenhout comes through. Toon Aerts gets his foot back in. Van Torenhout comes through to try and take it. Michael Van Torenhout, Toon Aerts. Michael Van Torenhout takes second. Toon Aerts comes through. It looked so close. He just lifted the hand out there as well. Both Lars van der Haar and Toon Aerts pulling their feet out in that final sprint. I just glanced left and right there. Van Torenhout, you just saw him put his hand out there, but Toon takes that one, gets his foot back in and takes the victory.
Ah, man, that is crazy. That both the Telenet riders with loose, just the pedals just came out of their their shoe came out of their pedals there. Not what you would have expected there, but that big attack coming off of the pavement off of the grass onto the pavement there just threw them, as you see Van der put it there, and then it's a sprint with Thijs Aerts and David van der Poel there, looking like Thijs Aerts took it, and then you see Vincent Bastien's coming in there for the last spot there in that group.
Dan Suter and Corne Van Kessel are going to be the riders here that sprint out this one. Corne Van Kessel just trying to kick it past Dan Suter. And they pulled his foot out. His chain's gone. Oh, it's just chaos and mayhem and drama left, right and centre here on the finish.
The bikes have had enough.
Honestly,
the bikes have had enough on this last weekend of racing.
The bikes are ready to kick back on a beach, I think, and have a beer.
That's it. I get it. That's fine. As you see here,
Jano Bellens comes in.
Yeah, Jano Bellens finishing up here. Good race for him. And then it's Nicholas Kleppa coming in there, number 24, riding for the Telenet Baloise team. Good ride for him today.
Yeah, that's a good ride from him. Jens Adams, Lawrence Swake coming in next. What finish! I hope you enjoyed that. That was a great finish, wasn't it? Someone commented on my growly voice when they know it gets serious. That's my blues. That's my singing voice. When you get a growl, always have that growl. It's developed over the years. Sorry, Just finishing there, just over an hour of racing. That was brilliant. Jenti Picard coming in there. That was one of the best rides. That was a good way to finish. There's another rider having a problem here. Look at this. Let's see it. So watch his foot. right, left foot comes out. Van Torenhout thinks, I've got this. Aerts gets his foot back in, sprinting on the tops as well. Take it back. Van Torenhout comes through. Just watch this. He puts his hand out as if he's got it. And there you go. Oh, that was it. Can't believe it, can he?
In succession, the three of them, like they were up on a stage at a concert, able to just throw their hands. They're two displeased riders, and then there was Aerts with his hand up. So two low, one up. It looked like it was a Beyonce show. It was awesome, but oh, the drama of the lost pedals. They're getting unclipped. Oh man, crazy! And then we got one more sprint finish here in Leuven today. Who are these riders, Marty?
Just coming in there. Just, I've got small screen, so I can't quite make out. Apologies. And there, here's Toon Aerts. Let's let you hear from Toon.
Het zit natuurlijk beter. Mag geen kou krijgen, want morgen wordt er natuurlijk ook nog gecrossed. Toon Aerts, proficiat. Laat ons eens beginnen met die sprint. Een hele speciale sprint. En ja, jij vloog er uit je klikpedaal. Of wat was er daar precies?
Ja, alles begint een klein beetje te lijden aan het einde van het seizoen, het materiaal. En ik denk, mede doordat we echt wel vol aan het sprinten waren. Maar ook omdat natuurlijk geen nieuwe schoenplaatjes meer zijn, schoot ik er nog uit. En dat was toch even een hatelijk momentje op dat moment.
Je gaat er nieuwe laten steken, hoorde ik je net zeggen toen je hier binnenkwam.
Ik heb nog wel andere schoenen staan, dus we hebben genoeg paar schoenen. Morgen ga ik er toch nemen die nog nieuwer zijn en dan komt alles in orde.
En gelukkig had je genoeg voorsprong, hè? Want je had al een kloofje waardoor je terug in je klikpedaal kon en dan kon voortsprinten.
Ja, het zou wel zuur zijn geweest, moest ik op die manier natuurlijk de koers verliezen. Ik voelde me wel vrij zeker dat ik naar de sprint ga. De laatste weken gaan mijn sprints ook wel heel goed. In Maldegem won ik in de sprint voor de derde plaats en ook in Lille nog tegen Laurens. Dus ik had wel vertrouwen in die sprint en ben blij dat ik het nog kan afmaken.
En je wilde echt op kop beginnen, want in die bocht daarvoor was het flink drummen om zeker die eerste plaats te hebben, zag ik.
Ja, ik was eigenlijk niet echt van plan om op kop te beginnen, maar Michael begon heel traag te rijden. Wat, zijn tactiek waarschijnlijk was om traag aan de sprint te beginnen. En toen had ik zoiets van, met de snelheid die hij hier nu rijdt en ik kan er langs vliegen, ga ik sowieso de bocht al uitkomen met een meter of 2 meter voorsprong, denk ik. Dus heb ik toch nog een klein gaatje opgezocht en vol beginnen sprinten.
En dan mocht je op het einde die 3 vingers in de lucht steken, want het is de derde keer dat je hier wint. En je hebt al eens gezegd deze week ergens, denk ik, dan moeten ze er maar de grote prijs Toon Aerts van maken hier in Leuven.
Ja, ik heb dat inderdaad al eens gezegd, maar misschien zijn er andere crossen bij ons in de buurt, zoals Merksplas, die spijtig niet genoeg is, niet eens kunnen doorgaan. Dat kan misschien ooit nog wel de grote prijs Toon Aerts, als we het worden. Leuven is iets te ver van de deur daarvoor. Ja,
dat is waar, want je bent in Kempen. Nog één ding, sta je al ergens op een cross als beste presteerder van allemaal, weet je dat?
Ja, de grote prijs Toon Aerts bij ons mama thuis in de tuin, daar ben ik vroeger altijd gewonnen.
Tegen de Thijs?
Ik ben onze Thijs altijd gewonnen vroeger, maar voor de rest is er nog nergens zo'n cross geweest waar ik recordhouder ben. Dus het is nog niet de meest prestigieuze cross hier in Leuven, maar het is nu toch al enkele jaar dat hier gecrossed wordt en ik ben toch nog altijd degene die nu 3 keer heeft gewonnen.
Alleen recordhouder, geniet ervan en veel succes morgen, dankjewel. Toon Aerts. En dan gaan we naar de man die vandaag tweede is geworden en die snel nog een visje mag aantrekken. Dat moeten ze doen natuurlijk, want dan komen die sponsors beter in beeld. Michael van Toerenhout. Michael, ik ga mijn eerste vraag toch al stellen aan jou. Wat een sprint. Laten we eerst eens beginnen bij die bocht voor de sprint. Plots kwam Toon Aerts voorbij gezoefd. Jij wilde het tempo laten zakken daar.
Ja, het was de bedoeling eigenlijk om als eerste uit de bocht te komen en dan direct volop te trekken. Zodat de rest de kans niet meer had om erover te komen. Maar ja, ik had het niet verwacht en dan moet ik een klein beetje inhouden om binnen een bocht te kunnen insturen. En dan ik verschoot gewoon een beetje en dan was het, Toon zette vol aan, dus ik moest mee. Maar je pakte direct 3-4 meter en dat was moeilijk om nog... Dan schoot uit de pedaal en dan kwam ik iets dichter, maar erover komen was moeilijk.
Schrok je toen nog eens van, oei, misschien kan het toch, want ja, voor hetzelfde geld krijgt hij zijn schoen en zijn voet niet zo snel in dat pedaal natuurlijk. Hè?
Ja, nee, dan had ik terug wat hoop en ik bleef vol sprinten, maar dan kwam ik tot aan de midden, tot aan een braket, maar ik kwam nooit niet echt verder. Dus het was wel een mooie wedstrijd, denk ik. Dus jammer dat ik wel niet als winnen kan afsluiten.
En je hebt er ook echt alles aan gedaan om het niet tot een sprint te laten komen, omdat je wist dat Toon Aerts moeilijk te kloppen is in de sprint natuurlijk.
Ja, inderdaad. Ik heb een paar keer zelf geprobeerd en voor de rest was het altijd maar een beetje counteren op de rest van het terrein natuurlijk. Dat is een volste recht. Ik denk dat wij dit jaar ook al een paar keer zo hebben gespeeld.
Ja, en het spijt dat jullie geen ploegmaats hadden, hè, want de Belgische kampioensweek was opgehouden in die valpartij van Elise.
Ja, ik heb niet echt gezien wat er gebeurde, maar ik hoorde via de speaker dat Eli en Laurens achterbleven. Dus ik keek naar even waar Laurens bleef, maar ik zag hem niet direct komen. Dus,
hij was ver achter.
Ja, dan is het, dat is spijtig. Dus anders had ik misschien zelf ook wel een mannetje meer had en dat was wel beter.
Dankjewel, Michael van Toon Aerts. En dan gaan we nog naar de man die derde is geworden. Lars van der Haar. Lars, ja, dat is een perfect ploegenspel, denk ik, dat jullie vandaag gespeeld hebben.
Ja, eigenlijk toen hun wegreden en ik kon er naartoe rijden, dacht ik wel dat het leek dat Niels wat kapot zat. Dus ik denk ik kan er wel alleen naartoe. En vanaf dat ik erbij kwam had ik wel het gevoel, ja, doordat zij natuurlijk sprongen, denk ik, de winst zit er vandaag niet in. Dus ik ben eigenlijk gewoon vol blijven rijden voor het podium. Ik voelde me heel goed. Maar als het dan toch in één keer een sprint werd, dat verraste me eigenlijk wel. En ik zit boenk in het wiel. En ik had eigenlijk het vertrouwen dat ik ging winnen vandaag. En met uitdraaien, trek mijn pedaal eruit, waren meteen alle kansen verkeken.
Ja, dat had Toon Aerts ook voor. Hij zegt dat het materiaal dat heeft natuurlijk ook het zwaar te verduren op het einde van het seizoen. Het was iets met zijn schoenplaatjes, zei hij. Wat was het bij jou?
Eigen schuld bij mij. Ja,
Ja?
Ik wilde zo graag winnen en ik draai daar de bocht uit. Ja, dan staat mijn voet misschien nog iets scheef en ik trek natuurlijk volop. Want ik had toch wel het gevoel dat ik de explosiefste was van de groep. Maar ja, dan trek ik mijn pedaal eruit. Dat is volledig eigen schuld en jammer. Eindelijk een keer een kans om te sprinten. En
ja, dat dacht ik net te zeggen. Dat is wel flink balen als je eindelijk nog eens kan meedoen voor een overwinning.
Ja, dat is dan misschien toch een klein foutje. Maar ja, jammer, heel jammer. Maar helaas, toch mooi om mee te rijden voor de overwinning.
Dat dacht ik te zeggen. Op het einde van het seizoen toch opnieuw mee te doen voor een overwinning. Dat is geen dat je moet onthouden, denk ik, van deze cross.
Ja, zeker. Ik voelde me veel beter dan met inrijden. En uiteindelijk had ik ook wel plezier op het parcours en ik voelde me goed. En wat ik zeg, ik kon meerijden voorin. Dat is gewoon heel leuk om te doen. Ja, en die sprint te verkloten, dat is wel even heel kloten. Maar op zich, ja, daar gaan we wel van herstellen. En morgen nog een dagje knallen.
Oké, dan wensen we je heel veel succes morgen. Dankjewel. Verklote boel dan niet. Lars van der Haar, dankjewel.
Lars van der Haar, there's the band. And yes, I am on, I have got my my little Duolingo app going to do my best for next winter to be able to bring you some live translations. Let's take you through your top 10 on today. Toon Aerts, what a sprint Michael van Toon Aerts takes second. Lars van der Haar in third. Niels van der Put, a great performance by him. Thijs Aerts, David van der Poel, Jim Arnolds, Vinnie Bastians, Dan Suter and Corne Van Kessel. Your top 10 here in the GP Leuven here in the Rectavit series. Jeremy, that has got to be one of the races of the season, hasn't it? That was good.
That was really good. I mean, it was interesting. I think we're starting to see that Toon Aerts may be one of the best sprinters in the cross peloton. I mean, what we saw in Lille and what we saw in Maldegem, which is two of the things that I could understand that Toon Aerts was saying. Yeah, I think he's taken a lot of confidence, right, from those events. And my sense is that, you know, now today, even with a problem with his cleat and shoe interface, that he's still able to take the win here in Leuven. I mean, at the end of the season for a rider that's been on the podium at the beginning and all the way at the end, it's pretty awesome to be able to see him take the win here today. And quite a game of cat and mouse. I mean, there's a lot of back and forth there, Marty, between him playing the team card, thinking about Van der Haar opening it up, but with Toon Aerts able to finish it off. It definitely wasn't a sure thing until right as they crossed the line.
Yeah, Lars van der Haar, so I know a lot of love by everyone over on all the Facebook and YouTube chat there in terms of Lars van der Haar today. Just wouldn't lie down, would he? Just kept getting back up and coming back up to that front group.
No, definitely wouldn't. And that's the fighter, right? That's what they call him. There's the dog. I can never remember the exact kind of name of the dog, but yeah, he's got a nickname for being a fighter, and he definitely showed that today out on the course.
Yeah, definitely. Michael van Toon Aerts, though, that frustration, though, boiling over, you just see that when he crossed the line with Toon Aerts taking that win. I think looking at the way Toon, those attacks and those that we see through the races when Toon Aerts puts in those big efforts, you would say, looking at that power, that the way he puts that power out during the race, it should transfer itself so well to that sprint. And that, again, for Toon, could be quite interesting when he gets out on the road this year as well, because we've seen it with the likes of Tim Merlier in the Belgian Championships and other races throughout the season, and Toon wins his fair amount on the road as well.
Yeah, I think he's going to take a lot of confidence from these. There's been some big gaps that he's been able to close up in the sprint finishes, and he's been able to win just about every one that I've seen him go into. I mean, Van der Poel maybe is a little bit different story, but outside of that, he's won a lot of sprint finishes this year, and he's done definitely in the last couple of weeks in Lille and Maldegem, where his form maybe dipped just a touch, maybe like 1% from where he was at maybe at Namur, for instance, after that injury. He's able to stay in the mix, use a longer power band without as much explosivity, and really be able to light it up for those sprint finishes. So I think that definitely is a good card for him to have, and he's going to take a lot of confidence from that in the future.
Yeah, definitely, and I mean you've been there throughout a long season like this. Kind of put it into perspective. It's so tough, isn't it, to hold that form like Toon Aerts has done, so consistent throughout the season, as you said, putting into that, bringing into the mix those broken ribs after Namur, but that takes some training management as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that the Telenet Balawaza team has a good sense of how things go. I think Sven Nys has a very good sense of like what a rider can take. And it's this combination of physiology, right? So can a rider take this amount of training, and then dialing in the training to be just right so that they have what they need to be able to kind of just eke that form out all throughout the year. So it's not an easy thing. I'd say it's the biggest challenge for an international cyclocross rider today is how to be good from the beginning of the season all the way to the end. And when you're not good, how to be able to really flow. I think Eli Easterbit, another rider that I'd give a lot of credit to on how he planned his season and the moments that he picked to be able to be good.
Yeah, definitely not the finish to the season he would have wanted. Let's have a look back at what was a very exciting men's race. Lap 1 getting it underway in the first corner would be where it all very much came unstuck for Eli Easterbit. Laurent Sweet got himself a good start. So did Lars van der Haar. Thijs Aerts from Telenet Balawaza. You can see him just moving up towards the front. He was definitely one of the strongest riders from the off. And just watch Eli Easterbit just on the inside there. Just gets squeezed, goes down hard. And he chased for many laps. Took himself a while to get up, gave himself a pat down just to see how he was. And you can see there, it was Michael van Toornhout though that kicked on, and this was very much the shape of the race to come. Thijs Aerts again, he will take a bit of a boost from his ride today. Some work again on the endurance for next winter for Thijs Aerts, as he, again, another young rider, just 23, and he'll take a boost from that one. Van Toornhout up towards the front, and Lars van der Haar would get himself back up to this trio, riding on the coattails of Niels van der Putte of Alpecin Phoenix, who would also get himself into the mix. There you can see van der Putte just coming around the corner there. And I think this puts into perspective, Jeremy, the ride of Lars van der Haar in terms of getting back up towards the front.
Absolutely, yeah. That just shows his tenacity, his ability to suffer, his ability to, want to finish the season out on a high note, wants to be on the podium, definitely wants to be a rider, like we heard, not afraid of the competition at all, wants to make sure that he puts on a good show, and that's something that he definitely did today, Marty. He made the race very exciting to be able to yo-yo back in and out. The pace was not able to be set high enough. No one at the front had the legs to just keep sitting on the attack. Van der Haar able to just suffer and bring it back through to make it a 3-up battle all the way to the finish line.
There was Van Toornhout going. Van der Haar never gives up. Aerts gets through to the front. Watch Van der Haar's foot. And they kick on there, pulls his foot out. Then we get the front shot, and then Toon Aerts luckily to open a gap. His left foot comes out. Van Toornhout kicks back here to try and get past. But Toon Aerts sprinting on the hood, and he holds on. And it was about a bike length. The frustration, the roar there from Michael van Toornhout as they close down into the finish. What a great finish. I think we're not far away from the podium now. Let's go over to the podium. Lars van der Haar is making his way onto the podium. There's the Telenet Balawaza fan club of Lars van der Haar just at the side there. Good to see Lars finishing his season so strongly. There you have it. I know a lot of you big fans of this man here. Michael van Toornhout of Poel, Sels and Bingo. Second place for him today. And then we will welcome our winner onto the podium. What a great sprint between that group. Michael van Toornhout there, your second place man. Toon Aerts from Telenet Balawaza Alliance. Celebrations first and third for the team of Sven Nys today. Onto the podium. Popular podium, I would say.
En ook de heer Van Oudgaarde met natuurlijk ook het pakket van AB InBev. En dan Bart Baaiers met de champagne van Rectavit. Dames en heren, laat u horen voor...
And all the celebrations will begin, I'm sure. Lots of riders looking will now breathe a sigh of relief, get themselves ready for a bit of a break before they move on to their road programs. There's your 1, 2, 3.
Leuven laat u nog eenmaal horen voor Toon Aerts winnaar. 2, Michael op Toernooi. 3, Lars van der Laan.
I'm sure you'll agree there. What a great way to finish our cyclocross season here on GCN Racing. Jeremy, we look back across the course of the season. Definitely 3 riders who have been consistent throughout the year, and I think for a lot of us, Lars van der Haar, as I said, he's such a popular rider, and he started especially as the season's gone on, just to look like the Lars of old.
Absolutely, yes. His nickname is the Jack Russell. That is the name that was given to him. He mentions it in the podcast. I was not able to do it, but I looked it up while we were here. His dog's name's Robbie. So anyhow, just to make sure that I tightened that up and tied that off. He's had a great year, man, and he's really shown that he is still a force to be reckoned with. He's able to take a victory. Anytime Lars van der Haar lines up for a race, you do not want to play games. You want to make sure that you're racing and that you're focused, because if not, van der Haar is going to come back and Jack Russell his way to taking the win away from you. So it's awesome to see him having such a good year and really fighting at the front with truly like generations that are much further past where he started from.
I'm sure there wasn't a t-shirt, the No Fear t-shirt. It's not the size. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. I think where that's got to come from, isn't it? I'm sure. I'm sure many of us have had a T-shirt like that over the years. One of those. I remember that phrase. If you don't want to know what happened in the elite women's race earlier on, if you weren't with us for that one and you want to go back and watch that one a little bit later on, you might want to press mute or look away just for a few minutes. We'll have a look back at what has been an exciting day's racing. The GP Leuven in the Rectavit series, the elite women's race a year ago. It was Loes Sels that took the race. Anne-Marie Vos, Sanne Cant, Marianne Norbert Riberola getting good starts, as was Alicia Frank on the opening lap. But it was Denise Betzemer of Poel, Sels and Bingo leading out from Loes Sels. Anne-Marie Vos taking a little tumble on a tricky bank section that would catch out quite a few riders as the day went on. Betzemer started to build an advantage, but she would get company in the form of the 777 rider Anne-Marie Vos, and it became a fight between these two riders for the victory. Betzemer on the banks of the course, as Anne-Marie, a long season for Anne-Marie Vos, has been on the podium and taken many victories throughout this season. And Denise Betzemer just started to eke out an advantage behind the battle for third between Sanne Cant in the Belgian champions black, yellow and red jersey, Manon Bakker in the black skin suit, and Laura Verdonschot in the red and black of Poel, Sels and Bingo. That ultimately would go all the way to the line. Denise Betzemer crossed the line for the victory. Behind her, Anne-Marie Vos takes second place and finishes what has been a phenomenal season for the 777 rider. Sanne Cant got out of that bottom corner and kicked it to the line in the style that we know from the multiple world champion. Laura Verdonschot coming through over the top of Manon Bakker to take fourth, but it was a podium from Sanne Cant. On to the men's race. Last year, it was Toon Aerts that took the win from Tom Meyusen and Lars van der Haar. Laurent Sweek, the Belgian champion, Corne Van Kessel, Lars van der Haar and Toon Aerts all up towards the front. A lot of people looking towards Elise a bit of Poel, Sels and Bingo. He's had a phenomenal season, but on the first corner, as David van der Poel would lead through with Toon Aerts, it all came unstuck for Elise a bit, hitting the deck It took him a while to collect himself and get underway. He did carry on for multiple laps of the GP Leuven. At the head of the race, though, was Michael Van Toornout that was kicking on with Toon Aerts and his older brother, Toon, right on his wheel. This trio would get clear, and they were being chased hard by Niels van der Putte of the Alpecin Phoenix team, with Lars van der Haar not far behind him. Van Toornout, after a little gap, saw that the two Telenet Baloise riders were back with him. Lars van der Haar made it up to the front, and this would be the story of the race. A standout ride from the under-23 rider Niels van der Putte there in the blue. Multiple times Aerts and Van Toornout got clear, but each time Lars van der Haar doggedly powered his way back up towards the front. Toon Aerts putting in those trademark burns, but Van Toornout each time fought his way back. Van der Haar got on again. Toon Aerts not far away. It would come right down to the final corner. Out of the corner, and Lars van der Haar would lose his foot. As the camera switched around to the front, Toon Aerts would do the same, but he had enough of advantage, even though Michael Van Toornout would come back to him. Toon Aerts takes the victory for the second year running. Jeremy, great day, great season. I've got to say, what a finish today for the riders today. Annemarie Horst. I know a lot of you are getting confused. I'm not saying Horst. It's whether it's something, it's Horst. I'm not saying Horst, by the way, for everyone that seems to want to keep correcting me all the time. I know Shouty Fons has been back today, but it is Horst. I am saying that, by the way. If you're not hearing that, then I apologize. In terms of that, Annemarie Horst is definitely, Horst has got to be my rider of the season. In terms of the elite man, do you know what I've got to say? Toon Aerts, again, for me, has got to be, especially in the last few weeks with these sprints and finishing the day on a half, he's been a real standout this season.
Absolutely, yeah. He's had a great year. Laurens Sweeck also having a really great year. I mean, the kind of the sleeper of the, not on the podium as often as someone like Toon Aerts, but really did win some big races. The Belgian championships, won that overall, the Super Prestige. I mean, there's been some big wins on his end, and definitely his best season as well. So Iserbyt, I think, rode a very tactical, very mindful season. Really shined when Van der Poel wasn't around, and really took a lot of victories in place of that. I mean, if you look at the amount of victories that Elite Iserbyt has throughout the season, had to say that he had one of his best, if not, coming from that first year out of the under 23s, I think full time is he definitely put his stamp on the season as well.
Yeah, it's been phenomenal. Jeremy, for you so far, there's standout races and rides. Is it possible to pick out some real special moments for you throughout what's been a great winter?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that Namur was the race that I think we just don't see a lot of, that battle between Toon Aerts and Mathieu van der Poel from a rider that, like myself, that races a pro. That was the first time that I've seen van der Poel elated to win, because that was a true battle on that day. That was a race that I think everybody had to dig deep internally, physically, emotionally, to be able to come out of that. And if you haven't watched that race, it was the World Cup in Namur. People are shivering, people are crying. There are people getting hauled off on stretchers. Toon Aerts broke ribs. I mean, it was uppercut after uppercut. It wasn't just jabs, Marty. Those were big fist fights that happened. And I'd say that for me was one of the best. Then that race that we called the women's race in St. Nicholas, it's just great to see the next generation of riders really going head to head there. Sanne Cant able to take the victory, but those young up and coming women are really creating a show for us. And I enjoyed calling that race immensely with you.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. We've got to say big thanks to all our other co-commentators and for their input this winter. Magnus Backsted's been with us. Thanks to Beth Crumpton. Thanks to Nikki Bramier. Thanks to Helen Wyman. Thanks to our junior reporter, Zoe Backstead as well. He went out there, just interviewed some riders like Marianne Vos straight after she'd been racing. So thanks to everyone for their input. Big thanks as well to Jeremy Powers, who I'm sure I know you've been loving Jeremy's his power, his insight, his knowledge in the sport of cyclocross. We've had a phenomenal winter, haven't we, Jeremy?
We have. Thank you, Marty. Thank you for having me, and thank you. It's always awesome to be able to call the races with you. So I do appreciate your professionalism and you're the rock. I'm just the pro that's here to add some cool insight.
Thanks. And again, thanks to all of you, our phenomenal viewers here on GCN Racing. It's been brilliant to be able to bring you some of the best sport. Jeremy, you can tell Jeremy and I love cyclocross. Stay with us on GCN Racing. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that bell icon as well. We're trying to put together at the moment a bit of a cyclocross review. We have loads of great road action coming up this year as well. To all of you, thanks for all your chat. Thanks for all your input. Thanks to Sid and John behind the scenes and all the team here at GCN Racing. We will be back with you next winter. Get out there and ride. Enjoy yourselves. Have a great day. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.